Thank you. We're going to go ahead and do roll call with two absences. Steve McShane is on his way in. He's running late from work. And Councilmember Rocha is recovering from a recent injury and won't be attending. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrera.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilmember McShane. Councilmember Osornio.
Here.
Councilmember Rocha. Councilmember Sandoval.
Here.
Mayor Craig.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with our first proclamation. I don't know if you all have figured it out, but we're going to be honoring the 150 years of Salinas Fire Department tonight. With that, I'll go ahead and welcome up Chief Klemek. And I believe Councilmember Barrera has the proclamation.
Yes, thank you. And welcome to all the firefighters today. Thank you, Chief Clement. Salinas Fire Department 150th anniversary. Whereas on October 5th, 1874, the mayor and council of the newly incorporated city of Salinas appointed William Vanderhurst and J.B. Iverson to a committee tasked with gathering a draft report outlining the establishment of a fire department in this city. Whereas on November 9th, 1874, the mayor and council approved the purchase of fire apparatus and equipment to provide fire protection for its 3,300 residents of Salinas. And whereas on December 22nd of 1874, an ordinance was passed by the mayor and council establishing the Salinas City Fire Department, governed by what would be known as the Board of Delegates of the Alisal, Hose Number 1, Alert Hook and Ladder Company, and the Excelsior Hose Company. And whereas the Salinas City Fire Department was staffed by all volunteers, how'd you like that today? Until the hiring of his first paid fire engineer, J.J. Connors, thank you, J.J. On March 5th, 1894, he was our first volunteer who would appoint and oversee the 3 additional companies of 7 members. And whereas in 2023, the Salinas Fire Department responded to over 17,500 calls for service and saved over $56 million of property from the ravage of fire, and SFD paramedics were responsible for saving 49 individuals from cardiac arrest. Thank you very much. Can we give them a round of applause on that? And whereas the Salinas Fire Department has garnered statewide credit for its excellence in training and performance in service during times of crisis and chaos since 1874. And whereas the Salinas Fire Department continues to set the example for others to emulate in dedication, firefighting, and the EMS competency, professionalism, and community involvement. Now, therefore, today, Mayor Kimberly Craig, on behalf of this Salinas City Council, hereby recognize and proclaim 2024 as the 150th anniversary of the Salinas Fire Department and recognize the loyal service they have provided to the community for the last 150 years. Thank you very much.
Chief Klemek, would you like to say a few words?
I think the proclamation summed it up, but as your fire chief, I'm honored to be here today with you to celebrate the acknowledgement of 150 years of service. This speaks volumes here. A little bit has changed in 150 years here and there. But these folks are here 24/7, 365 for the citizens of Salinas, so they're proud to do what they do, and they will continue doing it for at least 150 years more, if I have anything to say about it while I'm here. So we do have a small memento for you as well, because we don't do this without your support. So I want to acknowledge each and every one of you for your ongoing support of the fire department, and it has been our pleasure and will continue to be our pleasure to serve the citizens in this council.
Excellent, thank you. And I think what we may do, I know that we have quite a few people from the department here. We will go on to our next item, I think, and then we'll take a group photo with the proclamations, if that's okay. That way we can make sure. Yeah, come on up with that. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Incredible. What a great shot. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Chief Klimek. Just for the general public to identify, they have an entire department photo. I'll turn it around for the audience back home, at home, although it looks like I'm in a widescreen. Sorry about that for those of you on Zoom. It's an entire department photo at Station 1, and it looks like they have a brand new patch to celebrate their 150 years. So thank you very much for being here today, and we're happy to honor the department. With that, we'll go on for photos here very shortly, but I do know that it's the Salinas Fire Department Proclamation Day, so we're going to go on to the next item, which is the Salinas Fire Department 2023 Firefighter of the Year, Mr. Christopher Knapp. If you want to go ahead and step forward. And I think you're a captain now, right? Are you a captain?
Division chief.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for I apologize
still
for the
trying to
insult.
figure that
right?
We're still getting used to it, too.
Yeah, still
over
getting
here.
used to it.
Yeah, Division Chief Knapp. I will just take a brief moment and acknowledge Division Chief Knapp was instrumental, at least for this council this past year, in putting together the first ever Firefighter for a Day class for electeds, for people in the community to suit up, put on the mask, and go into different scenarios that Salinas Fire Department experiences throughout their careers. I will acknowledge that for me specifically, going up a set of stairs in what was simulated smoke, and I yelled, "I can't breathe," and the firefighter said, "It's not real smoke," and I said, "No, I literally carrying all of the equipment up the set of stairs, I was out of breath and I couldn't breathe." So with that, I just want to acknowledge Division Chief Knapp, and I will say the first time I met Chris Knapp was in 2011 when I was a councilwoman, and he introduced himself as Rico. And I thought, well, that's an interesting name. How did you get Rico? And I think it was first grade? Second grade?
No, it's around the time when you could first start talking and recognize your name.
Got it. Well, he informed everybody that he did not want to be called Chris, he wanted to be called Rico. And so the nickname Rico has stuck his entire life. So
ma'am.
Chris Rico Knapp, congratulations, and thank you for your incredible work. And I know that the chief has a few words as well.
I'll just share briefly that I've been getting used to calling Rico Chief Knapp because we've known him as Captain Knapp, but he spent the better part of his career here in Salinas training firefighters and being responsible for the lead academy coordinator, but also as an instructor for several of our subjects. So a little bit of Rico's been instilled in, I would say, probably 50 plus firefighters here, on top of those that you've mentored as a captain with his days on the line. And now he's moved on to bigger and better things. I had the pleasure of promoting him to our fire marshal position as a division chief. And so, Chris, you are, as I've said before, you are one of those people who we go to when a problem needs to be solved. And we look forward to a lot of good things to come from you. And we thank you for your service.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Part of being a leader is speaking
have to
publicly,
say
so I'm going to give you the mic.
Okay, I'll keep it really short and sweet. I just want you to know that I love the people I work with. I love the people that we get to serve. I'm from Salinas, 41 years approximately, and I love my job. So thank you very much for supporting us and letting us do what we love to do, and we look forward to the future of this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I have to thank my family as well. So my mom and dad, Tim and Alice, are right here, and then my twins, Revan and Story, are right there. My wife couldn't make it. She's taking classes at MPC right now, but without their support,
Do your
obviously nothing is.
do your kids want to come up and accept your Firefighter of the Year award with you? Come on up. And Division Chief Knapp, if you wouldn't mind sticking around for a quick moment, we'll go on to our third item, and then we'll take photos.
Okay.
With that, I also want to acknowledge the Horseless Carriage Club of America, the Salinas Valley chapter. Chief Klimek has a few words to say about that, and we have Councilmember Sandoval to give the recognition.
So, as many of you know, or you may have seen outside as you came into the council chambers, there is a beautiful piece of Salinas history out there known as our 1917 American LaFrance that was in service until the 40s and then went into reserve service. That engine saw a lot of action here in Salinas along with our other 1922 American LaFrance. It's been around for quite a while. It's been in various states of disrepair, but over about a year and a half ago or so ago, Chief Thornton had started having some conversations with the Horseless Carriage Group, who expressed interest in seeing that piece of history back on the road. So over the last year and a half, they've spent hundreds of hours collectively and lovingly restoring it to running condition, so we were able to have it make its debut in the Parade of Lights, and hopefully just the first of many more opportunities to have that beautiful piece of history a part of more of our activities here in Salinas. So my hat's off to them. I'd like to welcome them up and receive the recognition and acknowledge them. Some of them are here today, so folks, please come up and be recognized.
You get a big round of applause. Anyone that donates a year of their time to the city of Salinas out of the goodness of their heart absolutely deserves a round of applause. So thank you and your team very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here for the Salinas Valley Horseless Carriage Club of America, and I'd like to thank the City Council for approving that we could work on the particular fire truck. I want to thank the council and Mayor Craig, the fire department, Fire Chief Klimek, and Skylar Thornton. He was a good part of this to get it going. Many thanks to Gary and Candy Peterson. We used their garage out on Natividad Road for a year, and they supplied us with a big area to work in and plenty of tools, and it was a pleasure to work with them. Also, I have a lot of local businesses and people that contributed. To begin with, Jason Tracy from Valley Fab helped reconstruct some water globes on top of the cylinders. A&A Glass Shop, Matt Gaucher did some welding for us. Elmer's Auto Parts, and David King is here. He's part of the Horseless Carriage Club. Henningsen Machine, Salinas Radiator, American Muffler, LNS Auto Electric, and CopyMat. The people that actually worked on the fire truck were Jim Skillicorn, Wayne Ernst, myself, and Fred Wilkinson. And ending, thank you again for letting us recreate this fire truck.
Excellent. Thank you. Hang on. We're not done with you yet. You got to come up, the whole team. And I have Councilmember Sandoval here with a few words.
Yeah, I'd like to invite the Petersons, and I know it was a collective team, and I know I met some of you right outside the door, so I'd like to invite you all up as I read the proclamation. Don't be shy. I know you dedicated a lot of time and energy into this, and I know there's a damsel in period clothing here as well. So I'd like to invite them all up. Yeah, and I'm going to read this, and then when the mayor directs us, we'll take a picture with the group. And so my sincere thanks. On behalf of the Salinas City Council, we commend the Horseless Carriage Club of America, the Salinas Valley Chapter, for their excellent work in restoring the 1917 American LaFrance fire engine for the Salinas Fire Department. A big thank on behalf of the mayor and the council. Thank you very much. How do you want to do this?
All right, so,
council that the wife and I were looking for a little something to give to people that worked on it and volunteered, and we were going through the internet, and I thought, it almost looks like a fire extinguisher. So we set that up. Everyone that worked on it or donated gets a little thing, a memento to stick on their shelf or whatever, and we got one for the city council.
thank you, very much appreciate it. All right. Andrew, why don't we come down? We'll start with the horseless carriage, then we'll go on to firefighter of the year, and then we'll do the big group photo. Oh my goodness, thank you, you came right on up. So Sophie's in the audience, oops. Good catch. And we'll get the horseless carriage, and then actually, if we could get a couple of the fire guys that worked with them, that'd be great too. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2.
And one for me. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, we ready? 1, 2.
And then 150, so everybody in uniform, any admin, everybody come on up.
Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2. All right. Good. Yep.
Family, if you wouldn't mind coming up, we're gonna get one more photo op picture. So I'm going to go a little out of order here, just in the interest of giving Councilmember McShane a little more time. So we'll jump over to, oh, okay. Oh, boy. Okay. All right, well then, do we have Palma School in the house? I just want to make sure. Yes, got it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a moment and honor Palma High School. Palma High School, for those of you who are not involved in sports, had a historic state title win about 10 days ago, 12 days ago, I think. Want to acknowledge head coach Jeff Carnazzo, who has been at the helm for 23 years. And I'm told after running through Mission Oak 42-19 in December, the school became the first in Monterey County history to hoist a state title trophy. Does that ring a bell?
It does.
Excellent. And I have Councilmember Osornio with the proclamation, but I'll give you the opportunity to say a few words.
I think our students say it best. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here, representing our student body. A senior here who's going on to major things in his future, Roberto de Leon.
Welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I wanted to begin by giving my most heartfelt thanks to the Salinas City Council on behalf of the entire student body of Palma. This is a tremendous honor, and we are sincerely grateful that you would honor us in this way. For me, attending Palma has been a transformative experience in so many ways that it's hard to list in the limited time that I have here today. It has been a privilege in the truest sense of the word to study under teachers who strive not only to educate the next generation, but to foster critical thinking and leadership skills that are much needed in today's society. In particular, I'd like to recognize Mr. Carnazzo, my history teacher, and recent state champion in football, Go Chieftains, and Mr. Villarengo, my literature teacher. Both of these men have such rich understandings of the subjects they teach and share such an infectious love of learning that it is impossible to ignore in the classroom. Beyond the classroom, Palma has given me ample opportunities to connect with my classmates and broaden my horizons. Experiences such as visiting with and having a dialogue with the inmates of Soledad CTF were powerful and life-changing, and I have loved the opportunity to do them. 8 years ago, I spoke to you guys, or I spoke to the city council as a small little fourth grader, and I was all anxious, and I didn't even look up once from the paper I was reading. And this school has helped me mature and grow from that small little child to the mature and confident young man you see speaking before you today. And I could not be more proud of the award you're giving our school today. So again, on behalf of myself and all the students at Palma School, thank you very much.
And
Now,
for the
President-
record, you've attended more city council meetings under the age of 18 than I ever did, so good job on that end. I'm sorry, I'll give you the microphone, of course.
I won't say much because I think Roberto speaks well for our school and did a great job. It's a great representation of our school and the leadership and young men from the entirety of this city that come to our school, and proud of Roberto and everything he does and in leading our school and the young men there to aspire to what they can be, right? And I remember him when he first walked in the door. I'm so proud of him now. But anyway, thank you so much for having the ability for Palma to come here and be honored. Our football team, thank you for Mr. Carnazzo, and he couldn't be here today, but thank you so much as a group to something that was really, really special for our school. So thank you.
Thank you. We have Councilmember Osornio. Would you like to read the commendation?
Yes. So again, congratulations. And the city, the Salinas City Council commends Palma School for their academic achievements in 2023 and for their sports achievements in becoming the first Monterey County team to win a state football title. Congratulations.
So council, if you wouldn't mind coming around, we'll get a photo with them. And if you wouldn't mind stepping forward, we'll do the same thing. Thank you.
Right over here. Yeah.
All right, and we are going to go ahead and defer the last City of Champions. He's not here. So we'll go on to the next item on our agenda, public comment. If you wish to make a general public comment or comment on a specific agenda item, you're encouraged to attend the City Council meeting in person or attend the Zoom webinar and use the raise hand icon. Email public comments received have been distributed to the council and will be entered into the permanent record. Public comments generally are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. I may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda schedule. We are now open for public comment on items not on today's agenda, but that are in the City of Salinas' subject matter jurisdiction. Comments on agenda items should be held until we get to that item. Thanks so much and welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to thank the City Council for investing in infrastructure, recent efforts bearing tangible improvement in the quality of life in our North Salinas neighborhood. Curb ramps, new sidewalks, sidewalk grinding, and tree and root removals have dramatically improved mobility, access, and safety for residents who use a cane, wheelchair, or walker, young mothers with strollers, neighbors who walk with their groceries in wheeled shopping carts, kids on skateboards or scooters. Additionally, removing overgrown trees, repairing extensive root damage in gutters and sidewalks, and planting new trees freshens up the neighborhood. Maintenance matters. It says the city cares about its neighborhoods. We've noticed, too, lots of new striping on Davis and Laurel, especially on the Laurel 101 bridge. Before and over many years, if it was a moonless or rainy night, you would have no idea where you were, since essentially there were no lines. So thank you, but also a request. Moving forward, please continue to invest in infrastructure. Don't let our roads and sidewalks fall apart, severely neglected again. And be extraordinarily careful with the funds you do commit. Example, a complete repaving of Pueblo, a non-through, lightly traveled road when you have nearby heavily traveled, cratered and crumbling Madrid and Adams screaming for care. Finally, hold contractors to agreed upon timelines. Months and months of delay, not acceptable. Citizens need to see high tax rates in tangible application. Invest in infrastructure continuously, adequately, every year.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for the time that you spend. I've been thinking a lot about national, state, city politics, and I'm looking at the amount of time that I can contribute. And what you guys are doing is amazing. I realize that currently we're short chief of police, city manager, and finance manager, and with those elements missing from our city government, I think it's really important that we make sure that our mayor, Kimberly Craig, stays in office until you can come up with re-election, so that way we have some consistency in terms of government. Something that was brought up by Councilman Rocha a couple of weeks ago was discrimination against women. He stated the fact that he thought that women should be paid more because of the discrimination that they faced in the past, and he was talking about equity. You can go back and look at the transcripts to get the details. But that being said, I sure hope that you can support the woman that you have in your chair now as mayor. I try to understand city politics. In order to do so, I'd like to know where city council people get their donations from. I'm like, why would that decision be made? I would like to know where it is that I can see where your donations come from, and I'd like to know that I can post that information on the blog, because as I discover city politics, I want to be able to share. There's information about where you get your money and how the city uses our taxes, and I believe that that's empowering for all of us. The Vanguard complex near Montebello was voted on while we were at work or sleeping. I appreciate that as that happened. I would like to know if there's a city councilman who could come to talk to us about having their road from that complex go into Alisal, which is managed by the county. So can somebody go with us to the supervisor's office to help get that exit put on Alisal instead of it being on our city street? Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And the city clerk can also assist you in locating campaign finance statements. Hi, welcome.
Hi. My name is Daphne Breitler. Thank you for taking the time to, hearing us out. I just unfortunately have a complaint with this planning department. I have a small project that I've been working on since 2019, and it still hasn't gotten approved. And so I wanted to know, who do we actually have to speak to that is not in the planning department that we would be able to be heard? Because when we have tried to talk to Courtney or Courtney Grossman or Thomas Wills, we don't get much of a...
I'm going to actually restart your time. I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Oh, okay. Let me
as
try to
much
see.
as I appreciate the
Yeah,
volunteerism
yeah.
of a 1917 engine, they are not quiet.
Right behind me.
So, so if you, I apologize.
No worries.
I just want to make sure that you have the full opportunity to explain your concerns.
Yes. So again, my name is Daphne Breitler, and my concern is regarding the planning department. I've been working on trying to get a small project, a home on 2 parcels that we owned with my business partner, and we haven't been able to get an approval or get out of the planning department for almost 5 years now, 2024. It seems like we're being ignored. It doesn't seem like we're being heard, and it seems like there's nobody else we can talk to that oversees, whoever, is in charge of putting the signatures on the approvals and stuff. I've worked with 2 architects, I've had engineers, and it just seems like, we're not being heard. And I figured this was one of my last resources, to come to see if anybody can actually oversee whatever is happening in the planning department of Salinas. Our property is located in 2006 and 2002 Santa Rita, and it's right next to a school, and we know that housing is needed right now. And so I'm wondering if you guys can help us with that.
Yeah.
And I did speak to Andres Sandoval, and he's also aware of my concern.
And I requested that our city manager reach out to you and Lisa Britton as well.
And
So
I have
thank you, Debbie.
5 years, almost 5 years of emails to prove that, there's some requests that are kind of unreasonable and they're just holding us back.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it.
your time.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having me. City Council, Jose Guerra, Montebello Community again. A couple concerns I had this weekend. We had a soccer league game go on. I'm not sure who allowed that to happen. When we have the actual soccer field right off of, I believe it's Constitution, that is available where they can rent and do it. I don't know why they're having it in Montebello, and they're not even using the school. They're doing it all over the park. They took down the stakes. They took down the caution tape. So all the good work you guys did on the park just got ruined this weekend. On this Sunday. On another note, we have a fire hydrant also on Montebello Boulevard that's been over 2 years not been replaced. I've gone over with Mr. Barrera over here to try to get it done. I'm not sure if the city's blaming the fire department blaming the city. We went to go talk to the gentleman over here at City Hall, the guy that's in charge, I got his name. And he said, oh yeah, I'm waiting for the funds. Funds for what? I don't understand what he's waiting for. If the insurance claim came from the car that hit it, that should have been taken care of a year ago. It's been almost 2 years, going on 3 now. Okay, and then the other thing was that I did get a little upset about the H2A building that you guys are trying to, not you guys, but the county, trying to put over in Montebello. No problem, but do the exit off the LSL Road, and I'm the only person that actually attended it, not live, but online, because I found out 10 minutes before they started the meeting. Kind of shady when they do stuff like that. Make sure they come forward when they're going to come and try to build some in our community. Be upfront with us. Come talk to us. Come see us. We're people. Don't do your 200 feet where nobody lives. Nobody lives 200 feet from that building. It's impossible to get that information out. But thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
My name is Bradley Clinton, and I do a lot of service requests in South Salinas for pothole fixes. Well, if I worked for the city, I'd be fired. The work is pathetic. They do the work, I go back and check it, and it's done wrong. So it takes them 3 or 4 times to get the job right. And where's the oversight? Because to me, they shall be fired because they're not doing their job right, and they're wasting our taxpayers' money. I understand the limited budget, so let's put potholes, put a patch, and fill the holes up. What I'm finding out now is the Public Works will do the potholes, which they don't do right, and then they expect engineers to authorize somebody to come back and fill the cracks. Well, that should all be done at one time. So why can't they coordinate the two and do it both at the same time? Because they just fill a hole, come back next rain and redo it again. So they're wasting time and energy and money and they wonder why the roads aren't getting fixed, because they're not done right. So as far as I'm concerned, fire them all, especially when they got second chances, and they're getting second and third chances. And I got pictures to show it, and I got a website to send them to, and I'm sending them to the right people on the. I don't like the Connect. I like the city of Salinas website. That's a better application to do a request. The connection doesn't work. Well, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. Looks like we got a permanent 2-minute mark these days, not 3 minutes anymore. But a lot of energy, Kimberly. I like it. You and my brother maybe shop at the same place. I don't know. He's got energy shirts too. And after the bow ties there, I thought maybe we get Carla in a bow tonight, but I guess not. The other gentleman abandoned the bow ties, but you look damper. I think, the fire department tonight, I've been in a couple of accidents in my time where near-death experience, and who is it that's there comforting you, loving you as you're coming to? But it's usually always a firefighter, and we've got a great fire department here. And as these, the carriage folks here that did the work, you see all those people in the most amazing community I think there is in America, in the world, donating all of the resources to our community to do something so nice and restore something. And there's something to be said about donating your time, because that's what our city council is. It's about donating your time for the betterment of your society within your culture and your community. And I don't expect anyone here tonight to vote to not benefit themselves financially. I bet we get a unanimous decision on that. And just like everyone to think about that, I don't have the time to wait until the end and listen to everybody talk. Everybody likes to hear themselves talk, but think about what you're here for and why did you run for these positions? Was it here to grab 30 grand? 50 grand, whatever it is, if you're a woman, get paid a little bit more.
That is an item on today's agenda that I'm reserving public comment for that item on the agenda.
I'll speak then too. How about that? But as we see from the gentleman here, in all the dysfunction and absolute failure with our city works, being completely unorganized, you need to think about what you're going to be collecting your money on. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Ann Warden. I just brought this picture, and this doesn't look like him when he got older. But this minister, Jim Coopet, on Hillcrest Methodist Church, started our first gang meeting to get rid of gangs and the shooting out in the Alisal. I know, Tony, you were there, quite a few other ones were there, but he's the first one that got us all together to start working out in the Alisal there. His family, his mom was one of the original from Ryan Ranch. And I've got his paper here and I'll give it to you. But I want to tell you something else with the firemen. They came to my home on July 23rd for probably the third or fourth time for my husband before he went into the hospital for the last time. They also saved my son in August 12th, 2021, saved him long enough after he'd been hit by drunk drivers on Ryder and Freedom to help him with his erupt aorta. And because of that, we were able to talk to him until he had surgery. Because if it wasn't for them, I would never have been able to hear my son's last words again. Something that you people never will forget if that happened to you. I hope you never, never have to have that experience. And the men got away with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Craig and City Council members. My name is Brenda Granillo. I'm with California Water Service, and I'm here to announce California Water is opening its 11th annual College Scholarship Program, and we encourage any of our Cal Water students who live in our Cal Water service area to apply. There's going to be 4 $10,000 scholarships awarded, and that's the grand prize, and from $25,000 to $5,000. Eligible applicants must plan to enroll in a full-time undergraduate study program this next coming school year. So visit our website, calwater.com, for more information on that. And I also want to introduce our interim superintendent who's overseeing our main replacement program. His name is Michael Fernandez.
Hi, good afternoon. Like Brenda said, I'm Mikey, and I'm the new temporary supervisor here for Cal Water in our Salinas district. So I do oversee the main replacement program. We do have a couple of projects planned out for the year. We're on Laurel right now. After that, we have a pretty big project on Pajaro. And then hopefully after that, we'll be on Alisal from Kern to Pearl. But if you guys are ever interested to come out on a job, I'd love to have you out there just so you kind of see what we're doing. So that's pretty much it. Just want to introduce myself, so thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Hi, welcome.
Mayor, City Council members, I'm here again to talk about this intersection right here, which is the corner of Salinas and Gavilan Street. And this thing is really, really dangerous. And I've been up here a couple of times talking about it. It's not just there, it's also over on Monterey Street, Monterey and San Luis, Monterey and Alisal, and Monterey and Gavilan. All those streets are really dangerous. And I don't know what it is about people that get into that area. They just seem to be in a real hurry. I've seen guys go through this, and not just guys and gals, go through the intersection at Salinas at 50 miles an hour. It's just crazy. Something has to be done, and I noticed, at least I have noticed for a number of years now, very little traffic enforcement in downtown Salinas. And I don't know why that is, other than I guess you have shortage of staff positions, but it's really important. We need to start enforcing the laws. Today I was coming in just by the high school on Main Street, and some guy goes right through the red light. I mean, he just blows through. Obvious, just stomps on it, and then he has to stop about 200 feet later because there's another red light. But please, whatever you can do, we really need some enforcement, traffic enforcement in the downtown. Thanks.
Thank you. It's a race to the microphone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leo de la Rosa. And shucks, man, all I hear is problems, problems, problems. I've been asking around why we're having so many problems. And the response I've been getting is lack of employees, personnel. And that is a problem too, okay? So I'm pretty sure we have intelligent department heads that if they would get together and really discuss all these problems, maybe a solution will come out of it. But as I hear, not even the head departments get together and discuss. You know, seems like they all are worried about their own little department, and they come with decisions about their department, and they don't know if it's going to hurt the other departments. See? So sure, they fix one problem, but then we get another one over here. So we need to get together, work together, and get solutions to all these problems that we have. Okay, I'm sure you know all the problems that are going around. So let's get together, talk about it, and get something going. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Gloria de la Rosa, and I live in Laurel Heights. And I'm here this afternoon to support my neighbors in Montevilla with their concern about what happened this weekend in their neighborhood park. We in Laurel Heights have a neighborhood park, and there's a lot of them within the city. And I'm worried because if it happened there, where all these adult men were playing soccer and they have pictures to show how many cars were there, Councilmember Barrera, and it's unacceptable, okay? They took all the yellow tape out, all the money the city put in for the seating, they didn't care. So I'm really here to support them Let's find a solution to this problem because it's going to spread within our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the rotunda for public comment not on today's, public comment on items not on today's agenda? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Bryant, and I'm part of a prayer group that prays for this city. And we pray for each one of you every week. We pray for the city. We pray for the safety of the police officers. We pray for the firefighters. We pray for the schools. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for the work you're doing. And I want to give some positive praise to each of you for showing up for every city council meeting, for every job that you do here. And I just want to thank you for that. And I want to tell you that we'll continue to pray for you. And if you have specific prayers that you would like to be prayed about, or things in the city that are going on that you would like attention to, please let us know. A few of us are here in the room, and you could speak to us at any time. And Steve knows who we are, and we've spoken to you before, Kimberly. And God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Wes Wise, Salinas Bonner County Homeless Union co-president. Just wanted to give more praise, I suppose, to council members, and I'm sure more of you would have showed up to the pallet shelter exhibition out in Monterey. There is a government grant, California State, for 1,200 units to be purchased by the state. Probably help you get at least 100 people or something. That's like $2 million, just $20,000 a unit, and $50,000 for one with a toilet and shower. And that was their prices. I'm sure we could do a lot less, and it's just that sanctioned encampment is still rolling around. Hopefully it'll make an agenda item soon. And, I've been trying to reach out, let's collaborate. We've talked about some properties, and honestly, I think you could save the most money by making it self-efficient, a rules run tent community, kind of like an apartment complex, not where you have a security going all around. These are adults, and I think you can treat them as such. The better you treat them, the better they'll behave, the more human they become, and the more reintegrated into community and, society, be a productive member of society. That's what we want to see. If that's really what we want to see, then we need to see running water and electricity, allow them to have the housing that they already have. That's affordable. That's what they can afford. Nobody else spent any money on it. And allow them some dignity and decency. Everybody needs a door that locks, and that is the supreme thing. But anywhere throughout the city, during shelter in place, we had CDC guidelines. We had one porta potty for every 10 people. We had dumpsters. We had availability for laundry and showers and cooking. We had meals going directly to them, bottled water. We weren't making them move along. We can do this. It took being scared that those people might kill us to leave them alone, and we need to do better. So stop the sweeps.
Thank you. Okay, last call for public comment.
So good afternoon. I'm Eloise Shim, and I just wanted to reiterate about the comments made about the traffic in, I just really experience on Main Street, because I don't drive myself. I'm afraid to drive here in Salinas, because I notice that people speed here. They drive very fast on North Main Street. And the other day when I was on the bus, I commented to the bus driver, I said, is it just me, or, do people speed on this street a lot? And he said, yes, they do here, and they do all over Salinas. And, I've yet to see any law enforcement stop anybody. And I've seen them go on like 80 miles an hour, really, on Main Street. So I think that the law enforcement needs to give out more tickets for people who are speeding to deter them from that, because it's very dangerous.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I'll go over to Zoom. Does any member of the public on Zoom wish to comment on items not on today's agenda? All right, it looks like we have an iPhone with a area code of 408. We'll go ahead and unmute you. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. This is Yolanda Hayes. I'm calling about Measure G. I was trying to read some of the information that I feel pertains to me, and of course, more important to me is quality of life. What they did in Montebella is unacceptable. The city worked hard to put up that seeding green to grow more grass, and it's a lot of work to do that, just to throw money down the drain. I'd like to know, how are we actually measuring quality of life in Salinas? For its Measure G has been, I guess, in progress for 9 years, and it's a 15-year item that was approved by the voters. But I would like to know, how are we measuring the quality of life? Because as I see it, as much hard work as you all do, and thank you for that, it seems that the quality of life is going downhill with all the information that the public talked about, sorry, I got distracted, talked about racing cars and accidents and killings and just gang violence. Our police chief, which I really feel sad that he left, and I thank Mr. Pia and Mr. Callahan and our mayor for remaining strong pillars of our community. But I really would like to know, how are we measuring the quality of life? I'm hoping that the people that are on council, that they're not just using this as a stepping stone to get to the next level, to really think about the residents of Salinas. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you are mute, but I think I've talked too much. Anyway, thank you very much.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. Permit Center functions across community development divisions and city departments. And located at the Permit Center is community development, fire, public works, and these staff review, process, and issue planning entitlements, building permits, and ensure compliance. Today, my focus is really on the permit services aspect of the Permit Center. And but I do want to acknowledge the integral role that these other divisions and departments play. And so data regarding their performance is also included in the dashboard that is attached to this report. So in August of 2023, Municipal Resource Group was hired to conduct an organization, policy, and workforce workflow assessment focusing primarily on permit service functions. And the process included MRG reviewing the department's organizational chart and workflow documents and conducting 14 confidential interviews with staff and 3 members of the Salinas Valley Business Development Committee. And the key findings, recommendations that came out of that assessment are here on the screen. And the findings were that given our size of our city and the volume of activity at the Permit Center, there's a need for increased staffing. Currently, there's confusion between divisions regarding roles, responsibilities, and workflow. And that results in strained interdepartmental working relationships. There's also a lack of leadership positions and a need for team building. And some of their specific recommendations included really looking at increasing permit services resources and expansion of the use of consultants, clarifying roles and responsibilities through job descriptions and workflow documents, establishing clear department policies and communication procedures, as well as establishing leadership by the creation and hiring of an assistant community development director specifically focused on permit services. Actions taken in 2023 include updating multiple project job descriptions, establishing a centralized location, collecting all existing manuals, policies, procedures, and checklists so that they can be reviewed and updated and improved. Formalizing an agenda and data review at each weekly permit services meeting and biweekly permit center coordination meeting. And we were successful in August of 2023 in hiring a building official. That position had been vacant since 2018, as well as hiring an assistant community development director whose first day was today. Yay. I do want to highlight some of the staffing issues that are currently faced by the Permit Center. We have experienced many vacancies. Starting in Q2 and Q3, we were short a permit technician, and these vacancies really impact workflow. So we were delayed 2 to 3 weeks on processing intake for applications. That position was finally filled in September of this year. Then in Q3, we were down building inspectors as well as an administrative analyst left. We have recently in Q4 also lost key counter staff, both full-time and part-time. That's the primary first interface with the public, as well as with the promotion of a senior plan check engineer to the building official position and the loss of the other senior plan check engineer. We're down 2 key engineers for processing building permit applications. And so that really has had an impact on the process. Again, I do want to highlight that there is an associated dashboard as I shift to data and sharing key performance measures. Again, I am going to be focusing on permit services, but I do want to make sure that other divisions and departments are recognized in the dashboard, and this is the table of contents. So during calendar year 2023, the Permit Center general line fielded over almost 24,000 calls. And again, in Q4, we were down administrative staff. And so we still were able to manage the higher volume. Just shy of 5,900 customers came to the Permit Center. And you'll see by this chart, as it's broken down per counter transactions, that really the majority of those customers came in to speak with permit technicians, planning staff, and engineering related to that initial intake of an application's question regarding process or permit issuance. In terms of building plan reviews completed by year, this is a year-over-year comparison. Close to 6,900 permits reviews were conducted, and we then had, of those, 72% were on time. And if you look year over year, we were able to, there's a dip, but we also have to recognize that we were down 2 plan review staff, and we were still able to maintain volume and relative review times. In terms of permits approved by year, we had 1,500 building permits approved and 742 simple permits approved. So simple permits include like roofing, electrical, plumbing. That consisted of 87% of those permits. And in looking at the building permits, a third of those were residential, 23% for solar, 20% were revisions, and 8% commercial. This is a trend I'm really excited to share because we're seeing some great progress with our ADUs. If you look year over year, you'll say, well, what's the difference? You know, you took in 245 applications last year, 242 this year. But I want you to look at those that were approved, issued, and finaled. We are seeing a real increase not only in the applications received, but those that are actually approved, permits pulled, and then the most exciting is an increase in those that are finaled, which means we have more units for residents of our community. You know, we also take a look in our weekly meetings at the review cycles. So an application comes in, it's reviewed. Many times there are comments for one or more divisions and departments that need correction. In 2023, 80% of permits were approved by the third cycle, which is pretty good, but that means 20% were not. And so during our regular standing permit services and coordination meetings, we are really taking a look at workflow and identifying those permits that are going beyond for reviews. We're discussing the issues related to that additional review. What is triggering multiple reviews? Is it lack of clarity with comments? Is it differing opinions in terms of compliance with code? Is it a late hit, a comment that comes at a later review? And how do we avoid those later reviews so that everyone can be reviewed, approved on that second review? So we're really working together to establish a policy where we reach out to the applicant and the property owner after the second review to really have the discussion to make sure we're all on the same page so that we're not just pushing emails and letters back and forth without seeking resolution, so that we can really improve that to be a much higher percentage approved in a shorter period of time. In terms of building inspections, again, the numbers are holding. And this is, again, with reduced staff. We've had one inspector out on leave since the third quarter, as well as we had a vacancy come about in the fourth quarter. So we've been able to, with the support of consultants, maintain the volume of 14,000 inspections. And we are really looking to maximize and increase the number of virtual inspections. So that's the only 5% were conducted. And again, there's a limited universal inspection, what it can be used for, but we're really wanting to maximize that use of technology because it's a benefit to the applicant. They don't have to wait around during a window of time, as well as it saves staff time in reviewing and processing these. I do want to take a quick moment to highlight some of the other departments and divisions. In current planning, in '23, they approved 466 planning applications. Fire prevention completed over 1,800 inspections. Development engineering approved 741 encroachment permits. Code enforcement opened over 1,600 cases, conducted over 3,700 inspections, and closed over 1,200 cases. And small business support interacted with 418 small businesses at the counter. So what does our work result in? The Permit Center functions serve to further the City Council goals of economic development, affordable housing, and housing by entitling and permitting these commercial and residential uses that lead to revenue, job creation, as well as housing units. So in '23, the valuation for total permits issued was over $100 million. Fees paid for these permits were just under $4 million. And here on the screen, I'm highlighting 4 completed projects. At Abbott Street, we have 4 mixed-use buildings that contain 4,000 square feet of commercial space and 110 residential units. At Soledad Street, we have the Sunrose House, which brought 11 residential units, and those are 100% very low income. North Davis Road, we completed tenant improvements for Vallarta Supermarkets, and we also, at 1207 Abbott Street, was the reconstruction of the agricultural facility damaged by fire. Some projects that are currently permitted and in the works include new buildings for Love's Travel on De La Torre, a new building for Starbucks on Williams Road, Work Street Storage on Work Street, new parking garage for Salinas Valley Health, Creek Bridge Apartments 2, which are 50 residential units, and a new building for Taylor Farms Employee Services, and Baranda Hemingway Future Growth Area infrastructure. Now, 2024 is going to bring even more growth as we anticipate starting to receive applications late Q1 for the future growth area in the west and central area. And so ultimately, the development between those 2 areas over time is going to bring us between 6,800 and 8,200 residential units and approximately 1,061,000 square feet of commercial use. So we really are going to need to start to do some strategic planning as to how, through staffing resources, consultant resources, we are going to manage this uptick and process these applications and permits in a timely manner. 2023 brought some changes in terms of embracing technology. We implemented our paperless permit system, which really brings benefits to customers. It enables them to submit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It streamlines processing for staff. And so that was launched in February 2023. It's been a little easier for those design professionals to become accustomed to this new approach of electronic submission. We did establish a hotline. We provided workshops, paper materials, hotline, as well as email assistance for those that struggle. Maybe they're one-time applicants, a small business, residential owner that are not as comfortable with city processes. We do ensure that that assistance is available to facilitate that through the process. We also continue, as I said, to use technology for virtual inspections. Last, I want to highlight our community engagement and customer service. So in May, we partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce, to host a mixer that was well attended and by approximately 100 attendees, and divisions and departments shared their functions, requirements, and processes through interactive displays. We are constantly seeking to improve our customer service, and one of the tools that we use is a feedback survey. So every time an individual comes to the permit center, they receive a text, a message asking them with a QR code, asking them to take a survey. So 5% of the customers that came in, so it was approximately 5,900, customers came in and 5% responded to the survey. And of those that responded, 63% stated it exceeded their expectations, 29% said it met their expectations, and 8% said it did not meet their expectations. So we are continuing, and this is provided in English and Spanish. You can see the QR code here. So that concludes my presentation. Before I take questions, I do want to take a moment and thank staff for their dedication. to the work, dealing with high volume, limited staffing resources. It really is a lot. Interfacing with the public, it can be very challenging, and I just want to thank them for their dedication. And I do want to take this opportunity, because I'm really pleased to announce and introduce our new Assistant Community Development Director, David Gonzalez, who comes to us from the Central Valley. He's worked for both the city and county of Merced as well as the University of Merced, has extensive experience as a building official as well as managing permit services departments and divisions. So with that, just let him say a few words.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't expect my first day to have a applause. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I want to thank Lisa and the council for inviting me here today. My name is David Gonzalez. I'm from the Central Valley, and I do have a lot of years, a lot of gray hair, a little bit of experience with building permits, development, running divisions, and I hope to share that knowledge and experience with the staff that I get to inherit, but also learn from them and from you. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to be here and looking forward to get to work to help Lisa improve whatever we can with the department.
Excellent. Welcome. Welcome to Monterey County, and more importantly, welcome to Salinas.
Thank you.
Is that all you have for us? And we'll go ahead and go to
Questions?
questions?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'll start to my right. Councilmember Sornio, questions?
I'm going to reserve for comment. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Barrera, questions?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to ask the city manager and the city attorney. Sometimes I get carried away with my questions, so let me know when I'm at the border, okay? Because I want to get close to there. Smile. Well, congratulations, Ms. Britton. I'm going to focus on the 63% that exceeded expectations. Can you show the slide on the 2023 organizational assessment, please? I just want to focus on the findings. One of the things I think we all know and we've all heard that we need increased staffing. But even, and welcome, Mr. Gonzalez, to Salinas. And even I've learned that even though you may increase staffing, how are you going about making sure that you're hiring the right staffing? Because sometimes you can have every position filled, but maybe you put a person that doesn't have the people skills, maybe you put another person in the other area. In the permit center that's our breadwinner. I mean, that's where the city makes its money. So how are you, as you're going to, you're hiring staff already, how are you making sure that you are hiring the right people, that culture needs to change. A friendlier business culture. How are we doing that?
So I think a first step is one of the actions taken is updating job descriptions and really incorporating that criteria, that ability focused on customer service and establishing that as a key ability criteria part of the job, and then really taking the time to hire the right person. Sometimes it is a challenge. I've been through it myself. Keeping a position vacant and continuing to look for the right person is not always the easy choice. But I also think that we need to approach it through training and how we're establishing that culture as managers and leaders of the department. So I think it's not just a one approach, but I think it's a multi-pronged approach in how we address our organizational culture and the provision of good customer service.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Brinton. You mentioned, I believe there's like 11 departments here in the city. I think there is. You mentioned on one of the findings, confusion between divisions regarding roles, responsibilities, and workflow. Mr. Leo de la Rosa mentioned during public comment that sometimes he comes to the city and he feels, as a constituent and as a volunteer of the city, that maybe every department is at its own area. I don't, what difference, what do you mean by confusion between divisions?
So divisions in this case was focused on community development divisions and the handoff, like between planning, between the intake, administration functions, when an application is deemed complete, who is to respond at what aspect, at what point in the review process. Is it plan check? Is it still in administration? When is code enforcement brought in? There's just been some confusion in terms of roles and responsibilities. I think, again, updating job descriptions, really refreshing the checklist workflow procedures to identify who takes ownership for what component of the process. Sometimes that does cross departments, but in this case, we were really focused internally on community development.
Yeah, and on Monday, and thank you for that, on Monday, when we were having our briefing, I mentioned to the city manager and the city attorney that we need to work as a team, and the council is part of that team. But I know sometimes it gets kind of difficult there. It gets tricky. But our responsibility is to make sure that the customer that comes to the permit center gets what they want, because they're bringing money, they want to do something. So our job is to expedite whatever they're after as quickly as possible. How do you feel, and you've been doing a lot of work according to this report, how do you feel with the 8% that says, you know what, we're not meeting their needs? Why do you think they would be dissatisfied? We had a lady during public comment that mentioned she's been working with their department for 5 years. I'm sure she's one of those 8%, but how does it get to that point? Because the struggle is when they come to this dais to speak, that means they're really desperate. Something's not happening. What are we doing to alleviate that problem?
So, as I mentioned, weekly, through our permit services, we are reviewing problem cases, situations that come up, complaints that come up at the counter, over the phone, delayed extended reviews. We're having those conversations to understand why. And the approach that I've asked staff to take is one of communication. I think in many cases, it's not an email, it's not a phone call, it's let's meet in person, let's bring the technical architect, let's bring the property owner, let's get everyone in the room and work together to see if we can find a pathway to yes.
Yeah.
I think it also has to be understood that as staff, we are guardians of the code. And in some cases, there is not a gray area. It is black and white. And so there has to be potentially a substantial modification to what is proposed to get to a yes in terms of development. So, but I think what's important is having those conversations and working collaboratively versus pushing back an email and saying, okay, I responded, I said no.
Yeah. And Ms. Brinton, I'm going to ask, I do, it's not a question, but I do hope that you feel you are being supported by this council, because that's our ultimate goal. You mentioned in your report there's a lack of leadership and a need for team building, which is critical. I know we heard a constituent during public comment saying we don't have a city manager. Well, he's sitting over there right in the center. His name is Jim Pia. We do have a city manager, but for some reason, some people say we don't have a city manager, but we do. So in this lack of leadership, how are we doing the team building?
So the first step was to fill key positions. So, which is the Assistant Community Development Director and the Chief Building Official position. Those are two key leadership managerial positions for the Permit Center. Now that those are filled, this spring, we are already working with Human Resources to conduct a communications workshop training for the entire department, and we'll also be scheduling a leadership team building training for management as well as the department as a whole. So we really first needed to fill those key positions to then develop that leadership team.
Yes, and I was looking at your service performance measures. I mean, there's been a lot of work that has been done, but sometimes people don't see that, but there has been a lot of work here. I'm going to ask the city clerk if she could give me the slide on the completed projects, please. I just have one more question, Mayor. Again, working as a team, there's a market, Vallarta Supermarket. I know there was, and you know, and I heard it from the people that just opened this big project on North Davis Road. It's under completed projects. I guess where my concern is, I was one of several council members that, including the mayor, that attended their grand opening. And not as the city managers, let's not get into the weeds, but they wanted to paint the building outside white, but then the city said, no, we want a little beige color. So it kind of, I don't know, I'm wondering sometimes why the heavy regulation on something like that versus as a completed project, they've been asking, they don't have a sign, you know, so you pass by the highway. So I can't see that as a completed project because they've been asking for this sign. I don't know all the details that goes on with that. And in my simple logic, I said, man, just put the sign up there. But I guess it's more difficult than that.
So to address the sign first, they chose to submit the application for the permitting of the pylon sign separately from the facade improvements. So in early December, I think it was December 6th, we received that application. It's been reviewed by staff and it's in final approval. So they chose to bifurcate, you know, the request for approval. In terms of the color, I think one thing that we can improve on in terms of our practices is ensuring that we have objective standards that provide guidance to applicants and staff in terms of approval. In this case, staff was looking beyond just this one building itself because it's part of a shopping center. And just as we have done with other shopping center improvements on North Main in our regional commercial area, we uphold standards through the planned unit development approval to maintain landscaping, lighting, as well as ensure there's a cohesive color palette for the entire shopping center. And so all discussions regarding color were included the property owner manager representative, and wanting to ensure that over time in a phased approach, there would be a cohesive color palette that would have a nice appearance for the community.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Brenton. That's all.
Councilmember Gonzalez, questions? Okay. Councilmember McShane, questions?
Sure. Thank you very much, Lisa. You have stepped in and you've done a terrific job given the vacancies that I know that we've faced. So my first question is, tell me a little bit more about the virtual inspections. Are we behind or are we ahead when it comes to other jurisdictions? I got a firsthand education, you know, seeing one of them be done by your staff, and I was so impressed. And it just seems like for things like solar, roofing, and if 20% of our permits were solar, I'm like, well, why wouldn't there be 20% virtual inspections? So where is that going, and do you see it us doing better? Are we doing all right? Could we be doing better?
I don't have data to respond. We haven't been tracking a comparison just year over year for our own performance, and it's an area where we can see opportunity for improvement. Again, there's a lot of education and training. We have relatively new inspectors, so it's a process. So we're kind of maintaining it, hoping in 2024 we can expand the use of those virtual inspections.
Do you feel that the folks out there know that it's an option? Are you promoting it? And
It's provided as an opportunity, and again, some people may not feel comfortable with the use of technology, but for those that are, it is a perfect opportunity.
Okay. Are folks able to walk up to the counter in the permit center and start a conversation or even start a permit for that matter? Or is it appointment only, doors locked? Sorry.
So our hours of operation are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. We use what's called a queueless system, so it is by appointment. However, if an individual walks in, we seek to accommodate them on the next available appointment. If a staff person is available at that time, we will schedule them right away. Sometimes it's 15 minutes. Unfortunately, due to previous appointments that staff has, they will need to come back the next day. But we are doing our best to accommodate walk-ins, and we are going to be starting to track the number of walk-ins so that we can also be looking at who our customers are and how we can accommodate them.
That's some of the feedback I've gotten. And I'm sure you've gotten it too. Okay, that's good to know. In our hiring for some of these positions, because I know, and it's not just planning, it's not just community development. I know there's other departments. Maybe our bar's too high. I hate to say that, but in some industries, I come from, manufacturing and retail. I found that experience, would sometimes be even more valuable than having a master's or even a college degree. And I know in policing, there isn't a college degree required. Any feedback on where we sit there, and is that part of the problem?
So we have been working with Human Resources to update our job descriptions and really taking a look at what that ladder should be and making sure those positions that are truly entry-level positions have the appropriate level of education and experience. So in some cases, we've reduced the level of education and experience for the entry-level positions. However, in other cases, like a senior plan check engineer, building inspector, you have to have a certain level of technical experience as well as credential that you cannot lower. And in those cases, we are finding the challenge with recruitment is salary
I understand.
and not being as competitive in terms of salary.
Yeah, and I know at one point we were sharing roles with, say, the city of Gonzales, smaller jurisdictions. Are we doing any of that now?
I think that is something that we will need to revisit. We
Okay.
currently aren't, but with the opportunities of the future growth area and those increase in applications, we're going to have to look at all options
Yeah.
to meet those needs.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay. Now, do we still have in place there was a permit center task force, right? Or what did we call it again?
So I don't know if you are referring to the Blue Ribbon Committee.
No, the one with
There's a business development committee
The Business Development
that's
Committee,
kind of
thank you.
facilitated through the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Is that
we
still
meet.
meeting?
It is. We meet with them regularly. It was, I believe, in November that we decided we would meet quarterly.
Great.
They did have the opportunity in November to receive some of the initial data, talk through the organizational assessment and the template
Yeah.
for data, and they provided some feedback to make it more easily understood, ensuring that there was year-over-year data, and so we did incorporate that into the dashboard.
Yeah, no, your org chart with the interest in filling roles for outreach, awesome. We need that. They're both vacant, but I'm ready. Tails wagging, because organizations like SUBA, the Chamber, and any other avenue with which to engage the building community, even just the community at large, super important. I've sat through too many meetings in those circles where, man, if the walls could talk, I mean, just sending somebody from community development to be there to engage and welcome feedback, if such a person is thrilled to do it, maybe the new guy, that's great. Just that dialogue is so appreciated. Couple of other things. Do we have an appeals board? I mean, this goes back 8 years. I mean, the mayor and I, man, we tried a couple of times and we were going to do it and the can got kicked, or is it kind of still work in progress? Because right now the council is the appeals board. It is, I think it's even still on our website, as something people can apply for. We might even have applications today. So what's the status of okay.
To my knowledge, no formal appeals board has
So we just
been
haven't
put in
acted on it.
place.
It's, okay. Okay. Oh, I got a good one for you. ADUs, JADUs. I think there's some folks out there that have developed ADUs that are not owner-occupied residences. And I think you'd have to explain this, and this is why I'm bringing it up. As the number of ADUs go up and the number of JADUs go up, and you get into a situation where you have a small parcel with 3 units potentially, and 10 plus people and parking waivers all over the place, how is that being policed? I mean, is anybody following up? If they say on the application, oh, no, I live in the primary residence, but wait a second, they've got 2 or 3 residences and an ADU here and an ADU there, here an ADU, there an ADU, everywhere an ADU.
So I think what you're describing is some of the unintended consequences of state changing mandates legislation. And we are currently working actively, planning staff along with the city attorney and outside legal counsel to update our accessory dwelling unit ordinance to make sure we are compliant with state law and to clarify some of the topics that you brought up.
Okay.
So we are compliant with state law.
Ah.
And again, in some cases, we may not be thrilled or agree with the unintended consequences of not requiring parking that is provided for with state law, but we do have to be compliant with state law.
Sounds legal. Last question, and this kind of dovetails with, the feedback I've received with folks that just show up at the permit center looking for a cup of coffee and some questions answered and maybe even to start a permit. What about even just a general email interface or a virtual assistant or any of that sort of option where, folks you can channel some of that through a hotline or AI? I don't know. I mean, I just went through a fun exercise in AI trying to help me in a customer service capacity, and it actually worked. Not that we're there yet, but I don't know. Is there any other option virtually or via email or phone in addition to that where folks will get a reasonable turnaround?
So each division does have a dedicated email or a phone line. In many cases, there's an ADU hotline, there's a hotline for code enforcement, there's a hotline for assistance with the portal. So, and then we also have emails. So telephone numbers and emails are listed on our website. They can also call the main permit center number, which I do not have memorized. But they can call that.
7204, 758, 7204.
Thank you. They can then be directed to be assisted.
Cool.
So there are multiple options.
Okay. This is always a report I look forward to. Thank you very much for answering all those questions, Lisa. We're lucky to have you.
Councilmember Sandoval, questions?
Hi, yeah. Do you have a dashboard where you're tracking some of the difficult cases? As we heard Daphne a little earlier, she's been at this for many years. When I got elected, I met with her partner, I think his name is Jose Mendoza, and they were expressing some difficulty. And I know you just came into this role, but other than your weekly meetings, do we have a dashboard like this case has been on for 2 years? This was the issue and we're working through it, or how do you manage that?
So we do a weekly dashboard where we look at the current permit applications received. And again, we've been focusing primarily on the building side. So what I need to look at is, it seems to me that the issue is on the planning entitlement side, and we currently aren't tracking that beyond the performance metrics that are identified in the budget. So I think there is opportunity to grow and take what we've started here with building permits and expand that to other divisions so that we can be transparent and have those dashboards.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a great move because and I hear you talking about a strategic plan for the future for hiring. I'd encourage our city manager and everybody to get on that now, because I am concerned that we're not equipped to deal with the new development that's coming. And, you know, these shortages in staff, I mean, they have a direct effect on our residents and our businesses, and I don't think it's fair for them. So I know you're working through some things. I just like to know, while we hire all these people, and I know HR is trying to do their best, what can we do now?
So already in November, the council took action to augment our contract with CSG for the provision of building application review, as well as providing inspection services. So that really has been a first step to help us get through our vacancy process. Right now, we are struggling with hiring counter staff to cover those vacant greeter, we've called them, positions. So at this point in time, again, it's really important, the individual that you put in that position, that they're well-spoken, they provide good customer service, they're there for the public. And so we've had multiple rounds of interviews, but have not been able to find the right candidate. So if you're aware of any candidate that you think provides exceptional customer service, send them our way.
All right, thank you. And do we have, I heard you say we track, there was a slide that talked about the comments being made, like what's the reason for the delay? Now, one of the things I've heard since I've been elected is that there's new comments along the way. And so they don't have a clear goal line. So they're like, okay, this was what I was told. Now, all of a sudden, even though the item that I presented was already on there, I have 3 new comments. And then the goal line is being moved.
Correct.
What can you do to mitigate that?
So I think it's a balance of volume and staff wanting to hit their timelines and being thorough in our review. Because there's that balance. When you have 100 projects that you're supposed to review, applications you're supposed to review with a turnaround time of so many days, you start moving quickly. And if you don't have a clear checklist or, you know, workflow, and there's some things that are fuzzy related to ADU law, things can get missed. And so recognizing that, I think we need to be realistic around our turnaround times, given our staffing and our volume, as well as ensure that staff are provided the right training and checklist to ensure that they're thorough. So comments that go back are very clear and comprehensive, and that we avoid late hits.
Yeah, and I think communication is key. And as we start to develop some of the how-tos, I know we have some of them how-tos. I think we need to develop a where to go and who to contact sheet, because as they get to certain levels, sometimes, you know, residents feel like we're just there to try to make their lives difficult. And I know that's not the case, but sometimes they feel that way. And if we had a chart, hey, welcome to the permit center, here's where you gotta go, what you gotta do, and when you hit a roadblock, because more often than not, there's some new, you know, comment or something along those lines, then this is who you can contact. You know, they need to know ahead of time where they can go. Who's gonna help solve their problems? So that would be one of my recommendations. And this idea wasn't something I came up with. I recently was at MCOE, and the superintendent created something where it's like, you have this issue, you go here. And then if it doesn't work there, you go here. You know, the young lady who was here said, I don't even know where to go. That's why I'm going to come here, because this is my last option. So I encourage you to do that. You know, yes, thank you. So it was mentioned about Vallarta Market. So my question for you is let me format it in a question. You know, although we have codes to keep, you know, and the situation with their building not being able to be painted white, but the building next to them is white. So how do we explain that to the average person? Like, no, you can't paint yours white, but here's one next to you that's white.
So it's my understanding the buildings were to be painted the same color, so I would need to look into that. Again, the idea was to maintain a cohesive color palette for the shopping center. Previously, I believe it's in Shape that's next to the Vallarta Market was painted blue. They were in non-compliance in terms of the shopping center color palette, so they did paint their building a lighter color. I haven't been there to do a color match, but my understanding is that they are within the color palettes that were allowed.
And what can we do to make the residents and businesses feel more welcome? I know the frontline staff is one. I heard you mention we're guardians of the code. That seems more of like a defensive position. And, have you ever considered as you work through these trainings, coming up with a mission statement for our permit center? I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, but changing the climate to how can we help you? Because I think residents and businesses feel like maybe the thing is, how can we stop you? That's how people take it, right? So have you ever thought about that?
Definitely, I would have to research. I think at one point there may have been a department or permit center mission statement. So definitely as we go forward with our strategic planning, that is a foundational core value. Mission statement is the place where we would need to start.
All right, and those are all my questions. Thank you, Lisa. I would like to say you're doing a great job steering the big ship. So we got a lot of work to do, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll go out to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item, Permit Center Annual Report? Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Kevin Dayton, Government Affairs Director, Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce. I am involved with the Business Development Committee. I'm not a voting member, but I basically take the notes for it. They had their last meeting on November 15th. And I think that there has been significant progress since your last permit report came up a year ago. One of the things that Councilmember Sandoval mentioned was the new comments that come up with each review cycle. That's definitely one of the complaints for people who have more major projects, and I think that progress has been made with the department in taking care of that. I'll also mention, I realized this several years ago, sometimes the problems with permit approval, the difficulty isn't with the permit center, but with the applicant. So the truth is, sometimes there are just people who are uncooperative. So you always have to make that discernment there. Now, regarding this report, I think it's far superior to last year's. I'll give you some examples. First of all, the organizational assessment. I appreciated that the findings, recommendations, and actions were clearly listed. They didn't hide what their challenges were. They took them head on. The Business Development Committee was consulted in finding some of those problems and solving them, so that was great. I really like the organizational chart that shows the vacancies within the authorized internal structure of the department. And actually, I suggest as you deal with vacancies in every department, you should have a handout for the city council that shows every single department in the city with a highlight indicating where the vacancy is. I think that will give you a good idea of what the problem is, because everybody knows there's a vacancy problem, but it's hard to quantify. And I think that might be a good step forward. Building and review plan reviews up 8.7% from 2021. That's good. Building permits 17.5% down from 2021. I appreciate that for the first time this report has trends for 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to comment on our Permit Center Annual Update? All right, seeing none, I'll go to Zoom. Come on up. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm the president of LULAC, and a lot of people contact us when they need help to advocate for them, and same thing goes with city employees. And so the city's doing a great job with a lot of work being done right now, the permit center, but when people walk into the permit center, they should feel welcome. They should feel like this is their permit center. They should not feel like they're a burden or not wanting to be helped. And when people have to wait 3, 4, 5 years to get their permit, that's unacceptable. And when businesses have to do the same thing, that's even more unacceptable. And you saw how many vacancies there are. Have you ever wondered why? Well, this isn't for all of them, but leadership. Leadership needs to learn how to treat their employees, need to learn how to treat them with respect, and to support them. So, and trust me, I speak to a lot of people at the city and at the county, and this needs to be taken care of. So, and also keeping people hostage in certain departments, that should be unacceptable too. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I will go over to Zoom. Does any member on Zoom wish to comment on this item? If so, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll come back to council for final comments and action. I'll start to my right. Councilmember Osornio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Lisa, for the presentation. Very helpful and really trying to figure out some ways that the permit center can be improved, but highlighting on some really great work that's being done by great employees. One of the reasons that I wanted to reserve for public comment is because obviously for some residents, not all of them may know, and to Councilmember Sandoval's point here, they don't always know to reach out to Lisa Britton in case they're having an issue, or they don't know to reach out to their city councilman in case they have an issue. But one of the things is that I let these folks know we'd been talking because the presentation was going to come. But I think it's really important to know about the Mario that applied for a commissary warehouse, and Ray that has a solar company that's trying to get permits, and even some really great work by some of the arts organizations in town that are really trying to put up beautiful murals throughout our city. But are having issues at the permit center. We're talking about ADUs, Larry and the ADUs. We have Jose that's trying to do some home improvements. Chick-fil-A was saying, hey, you know what, we're glad we're there now. And they really were very pleased to work with you. But even they said that they were just having some issues a little bit longer than expected. Thinking about Balance's sign to be up in Creek Bridge, that took a while. Eddie and Oscar both have restaurants, and they've said they went through the ringer just to get those things up. And I think a little bit of it as well kind of is as a person that's pulling a permit, the not knowing what you actually have to get done. And that's where they're really looking to city staff to be customer service oriented and really trying to assist with getting them to that next space. And also Liz and Fernando that pulled permits, and I didn't know you had to pull a permit to redo your roof, but they had some issues there as well. So I do think that there is value in really having like a liaison per se of maybe if we have a chart where it's been 6 years since this person hasn't gotten a permit, and really start that way. So we have permits that have been in the system for quite some time, and we kind of have a designated person that is really just trying to unclog or maybe push these permits through. And maybe even some of those folks that have an issue about a permit, maybe we have just a certain department that triages those calls or really looks into those. I really think that you are the best to do that. So every time you've ever said, Orlando, if you have somebody that reaches out to you, please give them my cell phone number, please give them my email address, and I'll reach right out to them. And you always do that. But I think that also having a designated person that would help do that, and then obviously by you, just some thoughts, right? Thinking about that. And then lastly, I would say that with code enforcement, some things like cutting weeds. I know that the city manager Pia, we've been talking about things like cutting weeds, and so my only question would be is what looking at the process of how things are related, because as we're talking about the permit center, that also includes code enforcement, and so thinking about when we get these Salinas Connects, these Q alerts, that's great. That's residents that are really trying to help out. But then when we don't follow up on those Q alerts, and then, you know, we drive down Laurel and we see that at one of our parks, there are literally tents in our parks. Like, is it the cities, do we have city employees that are supposed to be reporting those things? Just something to consider when we think about ways that we can improve already a lot of the really great work that we're doing at the Permit Center. Thank you for your presentation. No further comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrera?
Yes, I want to echo, you guys are bringing up some great comments, great suggestions, and Ms. Britton, I want to echo that we're here to support you, to support your new assistant. But you know what, I've learned something about management quite a ways back. There's what's macro and then there's micro. Depending on how the leader of each department feels, you may have some fantastic employee subordinates, but you don't let them spread their wings because for some reason we drag them back in and no, that's not the way you do it. But sometimes it is possible that you may have that good employee, that good subordinate, but we're not letting them fly. We're not allowing them to do the work because of reservations or whatever. I think we need to be able to do that. But to the Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Brinton, they were quoted as significant progress. To LULAC, that compliment is gold right there. Great work. I mean, there's a significant amount of great work that's being done. And I think morale, I've always shared with the city manager, morale is big with people. Imagine on a Monday morning, an employee, as they getting ready to come to work to the city of Salinas, are they saying, hey, all right, another great day at work? Or saying, oh, shoot, man, I got to go over there. Imagine if we have a bunch of employees like that don't feel like coming to work. Because of whatever reason, we got to look into that. We gotta build that morale. We really do. And you know, to the city manager, Ms. Brennan, today you said, you know, we require what's required for these. You got to be a smart individual to work in some of these departments. You got to have a degree. It's required. But to the city manager, you mentioned salary. We're not paying enough. Well, I look as pay. If that individual is a great investment, that person will pay itself. You understand what I'm saying? Where if you're hiring the right people, they will pay themselves in their service. Because the Permit Center is making a lot of money for this city, but yet we're finding great people that maybe they're not computer knowledgeable, whatever reason, they just want to build maybe a room, a bathroom. They have a heck of a time going in the Permit Center. I've heard personally, some people get nervous going in there. And I'm saying, man, you're not going into the principal's office. Those people work for you. But you know what? Did you know that the rules change? Sometimes you come to City Hall and the person from the street feels like we're working for them. It should be the other way around. We work for the people. There's a sign that says, right here on the City Hall, it says, we are people serving people for a better community. That's our job, service. And I think people should feel good to be able to come to this service place. And Mr. City Attorney, I'm gonna put it out there as well. You know what, if we're not paying enough, we need to really look at that and find out if we can hire good people that will be investment to the city, I think we need to go there. Thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Thank you,
Comments?
Madam Mayor. Thank you, Lisa, for the presentation. Just wanted to highlight a few things that I'm really excited about. I'm happy to see that there is the organizational spread for vacancies. Who's looking, the future growth area would quintuple the work of an already strained staff force. So really encouraging that there are more proactive approaches taken. I can think a while back to when there was the job resource fair that was done at the State of the City, maybe another event like that housed at the Permit Center. I know that those kinds of community outreach events really do great to build more rapport with the residents and help sort of demystify the process in general. The permit mixer was a huge success, so would be very happy to be in support of that happening on a more regular basis. Also really excited to see the increase in these success rates for implementations of the ADUs, especially when it comes into addressing housing and accessibility. So many of our residents live multiple families in one home, living with mom or dad, moving mom or dad out into the ADU to have them nearby and close. So really excited to see that that process has been made all the more accessible. And when it comes to tech, I'm so appreciative that we have the tech webinars because in speaking to some of my residents who are monolingual Spanish speakers, there is very much an intimidation when getting into the permit center and feeling as though they don't know who to ask and where to go. So happy to see that those are in continuation. And very excited now to have Mr. David Gonzalez on staff. Welcome again and eager to see what will come. Thank you.
Councilmember McShane, final comments?
Yeah, Lisa, great work. Welcome. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I think the praise from the Chamber and from LULAC is telling. I'm glad to hear that there continues to be progress with that task force. Feedback, you know, I was actually going to ask the city manager why we're not open 8 to 5. I think we're open, what was it, 9 to 4? What are our hours right now? Are they? I noticed that the other day, and I know that was maybe a holdover from COVID, and it's a scheduling thing, and it's probably something I can ask city manager about. I know at one point we talked about even Saturday appointments. You know, there are some, I know that might be like, I mean, for any permit pulled by a homeowner, you know, whether it's a water heater or a service panel for their electrical or something like that a homeowner can do, you know, Saturday's helpful. I think the ability to handle a walk-in is so important because the feedback, and I don't get it all that often, but I do, that, hey, I went into the permit center and I was told to leave and then I'd have to come back in, you know, a week. And I know that exists, and how we solve that, I'm not sure, but some people still like retail. Some people still like the ability to walk up and get serviced. And times when the door's locked or somebody says, we can't see you, we're really sorry, but it's gonna be, you know, X number of days, that can be hard. The same with email and virtual. I mean, I hate to say that because I still read the newspaper. I still like retail, and maybe I'm an old soul, but I think maybe that'll take some of the pressure off. Yeah, Brother Barrera said it. I mean, some of the praise, very good. The feedback, the guardians of the code. I'm going to use that. Wow. Videos, we talked about how-to videos. I know I've spoken to some of your staff on this. Populate the YouTube channel with videos when you can on everything under the sun. I think, I mean, you'd be amazed. I know people that have, like, you know, done a lot of incredible things just thanks to learning it on YouTube. Yeah, so tech in that capacity. Oh, and something that Sandoval brought up, I think a cheat sheet, you know, like, I know I have it on my city council business cards. I mean, I've probably passed out thousands of these, and I have the phone numbers on the back, and I'm like, here you go. So something like that, certainly for the council members. I'm sure the staff will be thrilled when we start giving out the direct phone number for Jim Pia. But there, you know, these hotlines, the emails, that sort of stuff, because half my job is just directing traffic. And when I can't direct traffic, it ends up falling, you know, on somebody and then maybe another somebody, and there's a poor customer service experience. Yeah, that customer service experience. And I think to the other point that Councilmember Sandoval made as to a mission statement, you know, getting the team excited and that sort of stuff. I know you're doing some of that. That mixer with the chamber was awesome. The Wheel of Fortune and Lorenzo's office and fire and the singing, and I mean, it was awesome. The only thing it lacked was, you know, good local beer, but that'd be another mixer for another time, Jim. All right, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We will go on to final comments. Councilmember Sandoval.
Yeah, we are making progress, especially the first report I saw when I got on council. So we are making a lot of positive changes. I know a lot of my questions / comments, you know, are critical of the department or suggestions, but the reality is, you know, we hear from residents, and although Councilmember Barrera highlighted the 64%, we often don't hear from those. We hear from the 8, the 10, the 12%, and you know, we have a responsibility to try to be honest and improve. I'm sure you do. And you know, I know your staff is dedicated to try to make things easier, and sometimes maybe that flexibility might not be there, but I just see that, and I know now the guardian of the code is going to be a thing, but I just like to see that shift to see what can we do for you. And communication is key, like I said earlier, but making sure those people feel welcomed and being told that, look, there are these codes, there are these obstacles, but we're here to try to find solution will go a long way. I think that needs to be communicated better. I heard about this Community Development Committee when I first got on council. I spoke to our previous city manager at the moment. That committee originally was something that was mentioned from the dais, is my understanding. And, I'm glad that we get input from all stakeholders, but I feel like things that are brought forward by the city council should be council appointed. At our last housing and land use, we brought forward the permit committee. Now, we still need to work on the logistics of what that's going to look like. But I do have concerns with the makeup of the Community Development Committee that is made up of the chamber. As you know, they refuse to include the city council to allow appointees. And so we shouldn't give unequal access to one specific group just because they're paying dues to somebody. It should really be open. So, it's great to have their input, but it needs to be fair for all residents. So again, city manager, I'm going to recommend we move forward with a city council appointed committee, just to be able to do the same thing, check in with progress, make recommendations. And to Councilmember McShane, he did mention the appeals board. So I've been watching city council meetings for years and years and years. I remember there was a point where he buddied with Villegas and then again with another council member over the years, and that just never happened. Now, I know there's a lot of work, but I think just putting it on that workflow timeline to let us know that what we say is having an impact and we're going to move in that direction would be a very good approach. So keep up the progress. Welcome, David. You have a lot of work ahead of you, but I know a lot of us, especially in the business community, are excited to see what you are going to help improve in our city, right? And I think you guys will make a great team. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'm seeking action on this item to receive the report.
Second.
A motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember McShane. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane?
Yeah.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. We'll go on to the next item up for consideration. I would like to thank the council for their grace. I was out sick 2 weeks ago, and as you can tell, I have a little bit of a lingering cough going into my 4th week with it, but very much appreciate the willingness to punt to this council meeting. 24-003, the City Council Committees and Regional Board Appointments. Certainly, I understand every year that the mayor is required to make appointments to the city council committees. I know last year in January 2023, this council voted to ratify the appointments of the mayor by the council. So understanding that there was a tremendous amount of work and effort in identifying for those in the public that don't know, being a city council member is technically a part-time job, and the rest of us have gainful employment. And so some of these meetings with these regional boards happen during the week, during work hours. And I worked really hard last year to sort of work that out with everyone's schedules. So I felt confident in bringing forward the appointments as presented last year as the same appointments this year, with the exception I did remove the cannabis subcommittee at the direction of council. I made Anthony Rocha, is now the chair of the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority, so I identified that on the council appointments. And I also had a question about Salinas Police Activities League, and so I'm going to let the city attorney respond to that, just in the context of making appointments to PAL.
So thank you, Mayor. As it respects the Police Activities League, what I'm recommending is that we leave it as it's currently presented. The PAL organization is going through a review and update of its bylaws, and I understand they're going to make a change to the composition of their board. And so rather than this council appointing different members or taking some action with respect to that board. I'm recommending that we leave things alone until we know what Powell is or is not going to do.
So there's the answer to that. I also included this year regional board appointee attendance. I think that's helpful in decision-making, as well as compensation for each regional board. Not everybody accepts that regional the compensation per meeting, so you can ask the council member directly, but in the interest of transparency, I thought we would just have an open dialogue about it. So with that, I will start to my right with Councilmember Osornio for questions.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I don't know if this is a question or it would be for you or for city attorney or city manager. I would like to see if we can have also, while the cannabis subcommittee is going to be, suspended. We should also do the same for the car club subcommittee. That is an assembly bill that has already been passed that makes cruising in the state of California legal. So I think it would be a committee that we don't need to serve on.
For clarification, because I know they have established themselves as the lowrider council, I didn't know if you were still attending those meetings or not.
There haven't been any meetings that we've been invited to.
Okay, understood. And I think the other appointment for that is Councilmember Barrera, correct?
Yes.
Councilmember Barrera, do you have any comment on that particular item in terms of dissolving it?
No, I'm fine with that. The car clubs did say whenever they need to talk to us, they'll just come and meet with us.
So would it make sense then to just have it at will? We have a couple of those meetings that meet maybe once a year, like the EMS, emergency meeting, things like that, that don't meet on a regular basis, but meet as needed. Would you prefer that we clarify that so that the subcommittee is still the two of you, should there need to be a meeting further down the line?
That's fine.
Yeah, I like as needed.
Okay. All right, so we'll make that change. Any other questions, Councilmember?
On that?
Sorry, Councilmember Osornio?
On that, Mayor, that would be the only question on the car club subcommittee meeting. The other question that I had is going to be, I believe it's going to be the litter and debris subcommittee. That one is one that I was on early on and when we acquired that one. And I was gonna be, and again, I don't know how this conversation is kind of structured, so excuse me, but I know that I'm looking to see if any of my colleagues would be willing to maybe let me have
Allow
that.
you
Allow
back
me
on
to
that?
be on that, back on that.
We have Councilmember Gonzalez, and we have Councilmember McShane and Councilmember Sandoval.
You can have it, pal.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Sounds good.
We'll go ahead and add Councilmember Osornio to the
Litter
and Debris Subcommittee, and we will remove Councilmember McShane.
Okay. And as of right now, Mayor, all of my appointments look good, so I don't have any other questions or comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. I'm just going to make a quick note here on litter and debris. All right. Councilmember Barrera, do you have any questions on your appointments?
No, I don't. But I do, I'm on the Rodeo Committee. I was going, and let me know how to go about doing this. I would like to recommend Councilmember Sandoval I would like to give him the Rodeo Committee.
And remove you?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Barrera, I know that you've been instrumental, particularly with the representation of making sure that we have the Hispanic community represented, and so that's why I had you appointed to the subcommittee. I also know Councilmember Osornio's district, And I know that the Rodeo Committee has always asked to have somebody from the district be represented, obviously, because of any issues that may arise with neighbors. So
Yes.
you're okay to be removed from it?
I will be his alternate.
Okay.
But I
Councilmember Sandoval,
I still want to ride my horse.
you'll have to ask them.
There you go.
All right, so we'll remove Councilmember Barrera from the Rodeo Subcommittee. We will add Councilmember Sandoval. With that, Councilmember Gonzalez, your appointments, any questions? Great, thank you. Councilmember McShane, questions on your appointments?
That I would say to the city attorney or the clerk that would be helpful for this list. An ad hoc is not the same as at will is not the same as a standing committee. You know, like finance, I think, as I understand it, is a standing committee. Finance meets rain or shine, whereas like the fireworks subcommittee meets 1 to 2 or maybe 3 times a year. And it sounds like the car club committee may meet 1 time a year. So one commitment may be greater than another, and be more influential, quite frankly. I don't know. Last I checked, most of the committees I'm on don't really meet. I mean, I'm okay with that. I just want to reference that I think it would be helpful to delineate standing committees from, and just make sure it's very clear. That's all I got.
Okay,
I'm good.
we'll include a glossary.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Sandoval, any comments on appointments, questions on appointments? I'm sorry.
I think, Councilman, do you have something, Tony? Sorry.
Well, if I may, Madam Mayor, I'm not on the Education Committee, that's why I didn't speak. But, you know, right now we're going into some serious challenges with the school districts. It needs somebody that has been there as well and understands the subject matter and will be present. I would like to recommend Councilmember Sandoval to be on the Education Committee, but being that I'm not on that, I don't know how to go about doing that.
I have Councilmember Rocha and Councilmember Gonzalez appointed to that, I believe. And I think, let me double check here. And I think I was listed initially as an alternate to it, but I think we had it initially as only 2 council members appointed. Is that correct? I would presume, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good approach.
Yeah, what?
Education?
Yeah, I would like to do that.
There's clearly been some discussion prior to this meeting. Okay. So Councilmember Sandoval, I assume you're willing to accept that addition?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on your appointments?
Oh, yeah, for the, what is it, the Rules of Decorum and City Charter Committee, I work well with Councilmember McShane, but Councilmember Rocha also brought up revisions to the city charter, so just like we did with the Education Committee, I'd like to see if we can add him, so it could be a group of 3.
I had intended to leave that as 2 because I think it's important to have 2 separate opinions. I'm wondering if you would be willing to consider having him as an alternate.
It's just because he brought up the Charter Committee, so I'd just go for as having a team of 3.
I'm not particularly comfortable appointing Councilmember Rocha without him being here to speak for himself, but I'm happy if he wants to have a separate dialogue, I can appoint him at a later time, if that's okay.
Yeah, I spoke with him, that's why. I didn't know he wasn't going to show up, but he's okay with it, so.
I'm not comfortable appointing without having that conversation with him directly. I'd be fine if he were here and to have the conversation, but I want to make sure that that's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I just would offer, I think that's a big lift, being on the committee, the charter revision, I mean, my conversation, and I know the mayor has attempted some charter revision discussions. It's a bigger lift. It could almost be deserving of an ad hoc committee of its own. So I think it's worth looking at a later time. The rules and decorum, we got through most of what we needed to address. I think we refresh and revisit, what did Tony call it, or Chris, at will. I don't know. I think it might be worthy of its own ad hoc should we decide to engage that. Last I checked with the city manager, we got a lot on our plate. And I think if we had to rank the meat and the potatoes before the, dulce de leche, it might be inclusionary housing, it might be, other stuff. That's just my opinion on it.
How about this, Councilmember Sandoval, if you'll allow me to speak with Councilmember Rocha, and if he's okay with it, I'll make the appointment at the next meeting, and I'll make that declaration publicly.
Okay, that sounds
Okay?
good.
Great.
Mayor, just really quick for clarification, does this mean that at another point, if there was other changes that needed to be made, are they still able to be made? For example, if in a month from now, there was a change for me wanting to be on the finance committee, is that something that can be done? Or
You're
it's
on the
only at
finance
these-
committee.
I understand, like if I wanted to give up one of my positions, if I wanted to change a position.
I would refer that question to the city attorney, but I think the intent is to get everyone sworn into their respective
Correct.
positions.
I understand that.
City appointments, I think there's a little more flexibility, but I'll let the city attorney answer.
So just two things. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, with respect to these appointments that you're considering tonight, the appointments can be changed at any time.
At any point? Okay, thank you.
Based on council's action. And secondly, I just want to be very careful about having conversations outside of open and public meetings, and we're talking with council members one-on-one, or two-on-one, or three-on-one about appointments, because we have the Brown Act that we need to follow. And so we need to be very, very careful about those conversations that occur outside of this meeting.
Okay, so any more questions?
Yeah, no, with that being said, I mean, I already spoke with Councilmember Rocha on that. Instead of having that conversation, because I don't want to violate the Brown Act, he can always remove himself, or Councilmember McShane. I'd like to have the council consider, just making that appointment now of that addition. So I don't know what the feedback is from the rest of the council.
Sounds like the mayor wants to do it, so I'm not going to object.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you say something? Yeah, I'm fine to appoint him. I just want to make sure, in the interest of being fair with somebody who's not present, and for speaking personally, having not been at a meeting and then all of a sudden being selected as vice chair for something, I want to just have the conversation directly. But publicly, I've acknowledged I will be more than happy to appoint him at the next meeting.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
my only other question, and this process was a little more difficult because last year we met with you and we all worked on schedules and things like that. But the other committee that I wanted to discuss tonight, but Councilmember Rocha was not here, was the Monterey One Water appointment. So with respect to that, if we can move that discussion to the next council meeting, I'd like to ask that consideration.
Councilmember, I'm appointed to Monterey One Water, so I just assume have the conversation now since I'm the appointee.
But you just said it, Councilmember Rocha is not here. I mean, you're appointed now, I understand, but it needs to be ratified for the council. So I'm just asking if we can have a discussion with the full council.
Councilmember,
I would
Go
love to
ahead.
get this done. Like, I'll just say, like, I called the executives for my agencies, telling them I may not be there at the next meeting. Like, I just would love to get this done and put it behind us. Now, the city attorney just clarified that if we want to make a change, we can agendize it and we can do it. So if there is some conflict or some issue with the mayor's voting record, performance, that one issue, we can agendize it and take a scalpel to it. But my preference is to move this forward.
Right, and the appointment would still stand. I mean, you continue just like we had status quo, and then we could just have a discussion at the next meeting. I don't understand the objection for this, but
thank you.
I guess it's up to the council, right?
thank you, I appreciate it. I have no questions, obviously, I put it together, so I will go out to the public. Any members of the public wish to comment on council appointments?
I'd like to make a comment on the One Water. I think that the position that you have to take is you need experience on that water board. There's a lot of problems on that water board, and we need to fight for water for Salinas and don't give our water away. So I think it should be someone like the mayor that has had experience. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to comment on council appointments? Hi, welcome.
Hi, Jose Guerra representing Montevilla community. Could you have volunteers help you guys with any of these items we're talking about? I mean, because I think community input will be very important here. I mean, if you do, I'm available. I mean, I give my cell number, my email, whatever you need to get a hold of me. I'd love to be part of this. Any one of them. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the community input and willingness to serve. We'll go out to Zoom. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any items on today's agenda? Sorry, not on today's agenda, on this item. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Council, I recognize, I will go for final comment right now. I recognize that it's done a little differently than how I've done it in the last 3 years, but I thought it was good to have the public dialogue. There's been a push for transparency and accountability. We did a big, giant mix of appointments last year, and I think based on attendance for the most part, we have council members who have stepped up to the plate for those regional appointments as well as the city appointments. So with that, I will go to Councilmember Osornio for final comment.
Yeah, I think that this process, and just probably because a lot of the committees that we all, and commissions we all agreed on, and so there's minor changes. I would request that when you have a conversation with Councilmember Rocha, you also have a conversation about M1 water. That was something at the last year's meeting that was supposed to be discussed, and I understand that he's not here, so I would be in support of the two of you having that conversation as well, and then reporting back to see what the outcome was. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrera, final comments?
Agreed, and thank you for the process.
Okay, Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy with the seats that we've been appointed to, certainly speaking for those that I'm assigned on. I remember last year when we had this conversation, Councilmember Rocha had expressed interest in joining the M1 Water Board. So would be happy to hear on any kind of conversations or updates that are done between you and him, given that he's not here today. Thank you.
Councilmember McShane.
Just want to thank you, Mayor. This is quite a process. You have to work with everybody's schedule. I like the way that this was teed up with attendance and so forth. I could just say here amongst my colleagues, for those that are alternates or when working with the alternate, like for example, with AMBAG, I was out caring for my dad, and Tony stepped in. So getting a hold of the alternate so Salinas is represented, I think is really important. And believe it or not, on occasion we've had city staff just sit in. That's like the last resort, but or even a volunteer, or just so that the city is there. It may not be a voting representative, but at least there's notes collected and there's that communication taking place. We're the biggest city in the Central Coast. We're the biggest city in the county. All the other cities, in my opinion, they do look at Salinas. So being there and representing well and working well together, I think is real important. I don't know if Rocha is the alternate for M1 Water, but maybe the mayor would consider that for Rocha when he listens to this or sees us in this. Maybe he'll consider that. It sounds like he's very interested there, and man, all I know is it took the mayor a long time to study up on it, and I just want to thank you, Mayor, for putting this together. So I'll move the appointments with the suggested minor tweaks. I think we added. Somebody's paying attention, right, Patty? With the minor tweaks added from the dais. I don't know if they need to be repeated. Sandoval and education, litter and debris.
Car
giving
club.
that up. The car club as a at-will. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Sandoval, final comments? I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
These are difficult discussions to have in public, but, to former Councilwoman Gloria de la Rosa, experience is important. But, and we need to fight for water for our city. Actually, we don't need to fight for water. That's not an accurate statement. We need to work collaboratively. And so here's the thing. With Monterey One Water, even if we say we want this, it doesn't happen. Because every member of that agency has to vote to make certain changes. So if we don't have the ability, and I've heard from stakeholders on that, I'm glad the mayor has experience. Councilmember Rocha attended a conference regarding water. Studied up very much on it, but we need to be able to have collaborative approaches on these regional boards. Otherwise, even with the best ideas, we're not going to move them forward because we need buy-ins from everyone. So I know there was a motion and a second. I'd like to make a substitute motion, and I think we're all in agreement with it. It's just that we keep the status quo on the Monterey One Water and the charter, and we just bring those for discussion at our next council meeting. That would be my substitute motion.
So to clarify, you're fine with the motion that Councilmember McShane made, but you'd like those changes?
Right, that those two committees be brought for a discussion and vote at our next council
How about a
meeting.
friendly amendment then to Councilmember McShane's?
Yes.
Councilmember McShane, are you okay with the friendly amendment?
Yeah, just, can I make an amendment or a friendly amendment to the friendly amendment on the charter and the review? I think we agreed that if Rocha's okay with it, then we're okay with that, right?
Right, that's why it should be brought at the next agenda to discuss it. Because the appointments have to be ratified.
I've made that
I'm sorry, Mayor.
commitment to, I'm sorry.
I was just finishing, because even if the mayor agrees, those items have to be ratified by the council. That's why I'm saying, it's fine if she agrees, so let's bring it to the next agenda and make that vote.
I was gonna say we could add Rocha and then he can resign.
That's fine with me too.
Okay, so that gets that, I don't wanna, I mean, that just takes care of that.
Right, okay.
So with, included in the, so yeah, so we,
Councilmember McShane, can you clarify what you're asking?
in his friendly amendment to bring back action on whether or not to appoint Rocha to the decorum, the Rules and Decorum Committee, I would say include Rocha as appointed, and then if he wishes to resign, he can.
Councilmember Sandoval's request also included appointment to Monterey One Water.
I personally feel we keep you as the representative, and if there is some reason to bring up a separate agenda item where we can put you on the stand, then we do that.
So are you accepting his friendly amendment?
I'm making a counter-friendly amendment that with Rocha, we appoint him to the Rules and Decorum Subcommittee, and we let the appointment with the Monterey One Water stand. And if we feel we need to revisit it at some later time, we can agendize that one altogether.
Okay, and just for clarification, City Attorney Callahan, if, in order to do that, it would just require two council members to approach you to agendize that? Is that the approach we would take, or what do you recommend?
Okay, so I'm confused by this friendly amendment to the friendly amendment. So what I understand you're trying to do, Councilmember Sandoval, is put forward a substitute motion which approves everything that council has discussed tonight with respect to the Litter and Debris Committee, the Rodeo Committee, the Education Committee, and with respect to Monterey One Water and the Charter Rules of Decorum Committee, we don't appoint those tonight, that we bring those back at the next council meeting following the mayor's discussion with Councilmember Rocha, who was not present tonight.
Everything is correct except for he already agreed to appoint Rocha to the Charter and Decorum. So it would just be bringing back Monterey One Water.
Yeah, I would recommend that since he's not here, that the discussion occur first and both of those items come back at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So that's the substitute motion that's on the floor.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a substitute motion, which was repeated by the city attorney for Councilmember Sandoval, seconded by Councilmember Osornio. I will make a comment on my appointment to Monterey One Water. For any council member that is considering pulling me off, I would really strongly recommend you go back and watch the footage of that actual meeting. We talked extensively about the ratification of my appointments. And then when it came to the discussion of Monterey One Water and the issues that were of concern, I want to just acknowledge that Monterey One Water is wastewater. Like, it is not fighting for water in the context of like making sure that the Salinas Valley, Lake San Antonio, and Lake Nacimiento are filled. I mean, this is a Monterey One Water wastewater agency. The second part to that is I have worked really hard and have finally managed to get near consensus, unanimous consensus, to put the weighted vote on that board, which would then change the weighted power of Monterey One Water. I would like to be able to finish that project, council members. We are in the middle of our long-term agreement. I voted in alignment with how the council wanted me to vote for the opt-out option when we heard from the public for taxing, for adding the Monterey One Water bills to the tax roll, and I managed to get an opt-out option that is being presented later this month in those meetings. So I'm in the middle of it at M1W and feel like I have made great strides within 1 year to really earn the trust and the unanimity of that board, particularly over something that they would otherwise shut us down on. The weighted vote is really important. We started that agency in 1978 with 9 partners within the agency, and it's now, with 8 partners in the agency, and it's now at 11, which means our percentage of our vote is down to about 26%. And I think I've shared with you in past meetings, we are about 55 to 60% of the customers of M1W. So I will just lay that out on the line. I think I was very fair. I feel like I gave Councilmember Rocha has 6 regional appointments. I have 2 and 1 mandated one because of the bylaws. I have Councilmember Sandoval has 4. Those are the 2 council members that have the most regional appointments. And so I'd ask this council to consider keeping me on M1W for that reason. With that, I will go ahead and call for the substitute motion. Thank you.
Just for clarification, who was my second on that one?
Osornio.
Osornio, thank you.
Madam Mayor, and if I may, I just want to understand, does the substitute motion also allows you and Councilmember Rocha to have that conversation?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Calling for the vote on the substitute motion, Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Yes. Councilmember McShane?
No.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for the robust discussion, Council. We'll go on to Salinas City Council consent agenda. There are 10 items on consent. Would anyone like to pull an item for separate vote or discussion? I will start to my right. Councilmember Osornio.
Give me one moment, Madam Mayor. I'm getting my here. Okay, so if we may, please, item 24-029, item 24-035, and item 23-699.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Barrera.
Yes, 015, 029, 035, and 712.
Just to repeat back to you to make sure I have them all, 015, 029, 035, and 712, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McShane?
Yeah, 035 for a comment and 699 for a separate vote.
For a separate vote, you said? Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Sandoval?
017, 035, and 699.
017, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
035
Okay.
and 699.
Okay. And I will reserve for comment and pull 035 and 699. I'll go out to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any items on consent? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Great. All right, seeing none, I'll go over to Zoom. Does any member of the public on Zoom wish to comment on items on consent? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment.
I think I did the wrong one.
Okay.
It was the one for the crosswalks over there
On Lamar? Yeah. Got it. Okay. Okay, we'll have that one set aside for you. All right, I'll seek resolution and approval on the remaining items.
Second?
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Osornio, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval on 027, 034, 037, and 765. Call for the vote, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right, we will start with 015. Councilmember Barrera, you pulled this item?
Yes, I think this is a great project. One of the questions that I do have, and I'm in supportive of this, but, you know, we're talking about being short-staffed, and under the departmental coordination, I'm just wondering, you know, because this says, this whole preparation to make this happen, it's going to include a lot of active participation, collaboration from different departments. And being that we're short-staffed, I mean, are we equipped to really go out there and make this happen? And because we're struggling right now, but I just want to see how we're going to be able to do that.
Correct. So this is an advanced planning document. It's a specific plan that is going to set the framework for future development in what we call the east area of the future growth area north of Baranda. And so a different division is taking the lead, and we'll be working with the consultants that we're recommending, PlaceWorks, to prepare the document, to undertake any studies, prepare the documents. But it's important as a city, if we're going to be recommending approval of this document to the City Council, that all departments participate in its review. So that is really the level of coordination. It's not in the preparation itself, but it's ensuring the consistency with our other planning documents and that all topics are adequately addressed.
Yes, Ms. Brendan, and understanding that, what you just said, I just wanted to make sure that we are equipped to be able to do that. And
Yes.
with all the other stuff that's going on right now.
Correct.
Thank you. Move to approve when we're ready.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember Osornio. Call for the vote on 015, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane?
Yeah.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Sorry. Try my best. Okay. ID 017, Councilmember Sandoval, you pulled this item. I'm going to go to the member of the public who also pulled this item. Ms. Warden, you pulled this item.
Mary Ann Warden. Is this on Lemoore, is this the crosswalk? And is it the one with the light or the one that's flashing? I can't remember because I worked in both of them. Which one's the flash? Yes. Yeah, we really need it. You know, I don't know if you guys, any of you remember, but years ago, there was supposed to be an overpass across that. And then it took away, and then we got the stoplights, and then there. Because it is, you know, we had the children. In fact, I believe one child had gotten killed there, or gotten hit there. It is very dangerous when the kids are crossing there. And there's sometimes those lights don't always work right. And it's hard always to see them. Because sometimes the street light's not working right. And it's not, so when the little things are growing, you can't even see them sometimes when it's really dark and it's raining. Other than that, you usually can. But I just wanted to let you know, so those are some of the problems I've encountered when I've gone down that street. Lately, I haven't gone through there lately, but in the past, yes, that's the problem. So any improvements for that street would really, really helpful, because a lot of people go across to 7-Eleven and through there, and the fire department's out in that area too, so. And we have the little park there, so there's a lot of little traffic in there and from the schools. So anything that can help that would improve it.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandoval, you also pulled this item.
Well, thank you, Ms. Warden, for continuing to advocate for pedestrian safety. That that neighborhood you're right, there's been a fatality there, there's been several accidents. When I was in middle school, one of my friends was hit there. When I was running for office, a gentleman that lives just one street over, I told him about pedestrian safety, and unfortunately, he lost his wife at that intersection. And so I'd like to thank the city staff. I know that this project will increase the line of sight for drivers, but I do have a message for drivers out there. You know, we can add blinking lights and crosswalks, but if there's no respect for pedestrians, if there's no respect for each other, then we're still going to continue to have accidents. So my message is, let's respect each other, drive a little bit slower, and try to keep people safe. So thank you, Mr. Jacobs, for your work. And with that, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Motion made by Councilmember Sandoval, seconded by Councilmember McShane. Call for the vote on 017, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane?
Yep.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, 029, Councilmember Osornio, you pulled this item.
Yes. So I just wanted to get an update. I know on the background, I just wanted to see where we're at with the trash receptacles that are supposed to be on East Alisal, and also the in front of the bread box. When we were speaking about the improvements that were supposed to be done, there was supposed to be some sidewalk stuff that was supposed to get done, and that still hasn't been done. So I wanted to get an update and see where those two things are at.
So, Councilmember Orsonio, if you could repeat the two, this is not the entire project. I just want to clarify that this is a limited scope of work. It doesn't include the entire scope of work, the project as defined for the grant. So if you could please repeat the two items that you are concerned about.
Yes, I can. So in the staff report, the new trash receptacles that are supposed to be on Alisal, I just wanted to see what the update on those were.
So we are actually, we've identified a vendor to assist with the installation of the wraps, but we are in a little internal glitch in terms of getting the contract finalized. But that is in motion. We have completed the scope of work, and as soon as we can get through the contracting process, then we will begin that work as well.
Thank you. I know that the trash receptacles that are outside of WIC have been a little bit of an issue. There's no door on them anymore. So when this came up, I was really, really happy to see that come up. But then again, the second question was going to be, I believe that this was also supposed to have some work that was supposed to be done, some reconstruction of pavers in front of the bread box. And I think I was over at the bread box Thursday night, and the concrete in front is still pretty damaged. So I wanted to see if you had an update on where we are with that project.
I believe that this is part of that scope of work, or that I've seen another scope of work that is also in motion that may be coming, actually.
It is this one.
It's in the scope of work, yes. So it's going to be occurring through this June timeframe.
It's going to be occurring.
Yeah, so I don't have the specific schedule, so I'd be happy to get back to you in terms of the order of operations and the timing.
I'm glad that it's going to be happening. Thank you so much for the update. Motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Osornio, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. Councilmember Barrera, you also pulled this item?
Yes. You know, there's no doubt, Mr. Pia, that staff does a great job on, you know, we begin great fixing up different neighborhoods. I'm really excited about this plan here, but you know, history tells us, look, we spent over $4 million on Car Lake, and where I was excited that the mom was going to be able to have the stroller with the baby and just walk on a safe sidewalk and go to the hospital. But now they're afraid because people burn that area, and you know what? It's broken fences. It looks scary. And getting back to this point, and you know, we spend millions of dollars on East Market. We put trees, we put palm trees. They all died. I mean, millions of dollars have been spent. This project is just as great, and I'm supporting it. But, and I'm gonna use the word we have not done a good job when it comes down to the maintenance, to making sure, you know, when Suba asked to put those beautiful pots out in East Alisal, well, at the beginning, they had beautiful flowers. Somebody forgot they dried up, they were used as trash receptacles. You know, trash cans over there, because it's a high-dense neighborhood, people will start using those trash cans as their own personal trash can. But who's gonna take care of that? And that's my worry, that's my big concern. This is an awesome, you know, as I read this, I can just visualize it and it looks beautiful. But when it comes to the maintenance, we have not been able to do a good job at it. So I'm worried about that.
Councilmember Barrera, I share your concerns about sustainability of the effort. We talked also, you mentioned the effort on the guardrail and the Laurel Drive area that was fixed and then broken immediately. And Director Jacobs is working on that, and I'm committed to get that repaired again. But sustainability of the maintenance effort in all that we do is of importance, and I hear you, and I'll make sure that we all hear you in terms of city employees.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane? Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval? Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. All right, on to ID 035, the Salinas Police Officers Association Memorandum of Understanding, Modification of Classification and Salary Schedule. Councilmember Osornio, you pulled this item.
Yes, if we can we get just a very small, brief overview of kind of the process of what we've been going on, and just maybe like a little bit of details about this, please?
Sure. The city negotiations team, which consists of HR personnel and Katie Hogan with the city attorney's office, and led by Che Johnson, who couldn't be here today, met with the POA, Police Officers Association Board, for a period of about 3 months, starting in late September or early October, and we had some very good meetings, discussion, and came, although we were apart on some issues, I think both sides had the ultimate goal to try and come to an agreement for a new memorandum of understanding to help address recruitment and retention. And so we came to a tentative agreement on the terms that are included in your council report, which include a 2-year agreement ending in December of 2025, which provides for a 4% cost of living adjustment effective in February of this year, and another 2% increase in January of 2025. And there are some other compensation adjustments with regard to master officer pay. The current salary schedule provides for 7 steps and maintains 7 steps, but we shifted 1 step over to the right, going from 6 steps to a 7th step, with a 5% difference between steps.
Thank you thank you so much for that. I think it's just to get the context of, we're about to start discussing it right now, and I think that was really good, and I didn't realize that. I knew that it was fast, and you guys did a phenomenal job on behalf of the city of Salinas. But 3 months is really, well, I mean, that was pretty quick in my opinion.
I think it's record time for us.
Yeah, so, and that shows obviously to the experience that you have and your department and our negotiators. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. So thank you for the explanation. But also, I wanted to use some time to speak about the process as a council member, and this is all related to the item here. And I just wanted to thank the SPOA. Also, within those 3 months, I had the opportunity to sit down with members of the police department, and there were great conversations, and you could really tell with the collaboration of how we were able to get this deal done. But we talked about recruitment efforts, and we also spoke about workload. we spoke about community events, and we spoke about community engagement opportunities. So for me, this was the first time that I was really a part of that, and I've got to say, I actually enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity to just have a conversation about the job and some of the things that the folks are seeing. But I also do understand the issue that we have with vacancies. And I know that there was a couple of council members that really were trying to get creative when it came to finding an incentive. And again, I just want to applaud your team and the work that you did with being able to come up with that incentive to be able to help with recruitment efforts. I know that there was also some discussion around supporting and this council supporting the police department. And I just want to identify there as well, as we were talking about the contract, it was really important to also show the support in ways of obviously the contract renewal, but also some of the things we've already done, like the different types of equipment, different types of technology and things like that. So I just wanted to say that I look forward to continuing in the support of our Salinas Police Department, obviously identifying that right now we are very short-staffed. And I believe that in how we were able to come to an agreement, this council really came together and really wanted to look for creative ways to be able to support the police department. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to you and to your team for really being a great representative of this council.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll just add that the Police Officers Association has a new president, and he and I have talked and will be continuing to work together to address Police Officer Association concerns and just work together to help address recruitment and retention.
That's really great to hear. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrera, you pulled this item.
Yes. You know, this was one of the biggest heavy lifts that we have a lot of times in labor negotiations, but Ms. Horta Gallegos, this was for 3 months. You know, I want to mention the people that were involved. It was Mr. Pia, Ms. Marina Horta Gallegos, Ms. Silvia Enriquez, and Ms. Catherine Hogan, and our attorney, Mr. Chris Callahan. You know, for several months, this council was criticized that we wanted to defund this police department, and that was further from the truth. And this will be a testament today. Thanks to the good work of President Chris Avila from the Salinas Police Officers Association and the SPOA board, they all work in a collaborative fashion. As a matter of fact, the president, who you're working very closely with, he and I spoke on the phone, and he appreciated what this council is doing, how we're supporting the police department, and at the same time, they're having their own internal issues that we need to be supportive of as well. I think morale is very important, it's critical. We all define morale in different ways, but I think when a person feels valued, I think they serve our public better. So that's one of our responsibilities. And I think, as I look at this, it shows a good testament of your good work. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been here the longest, but I was very worried about this one. But it was so easy because it was a collaborative effort on the police department as well as us. Is it a perfect solution? No. But it's a workable solution where it shows that we appreciate the police department. And for somebody to say we're defunding them or we don't support them, that's far from the truth. But you know what? And just so the public can hear, every item that the police department has asked this council for, this council has been there for them as well. So I think as long as we keep that open dialogue, we'll continue. Thank you. And move to approve when we're ready.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. We'll go on for comments. I heard it from both ends, so I'm taking Councilmember Sandoval's second. Thank you. Councilmember McShane, you pulled this item?
Marina, thanks for the good news. To you, to the team in legal, to Jim, and to Chris and the folks at SPOA, it's good to see to an agreement before us. Make no doubt about it, we have a staffing problem. This is a good gesture, but we still don't have enough staff. In fact, I would say we have the lowest staffing in our police department that I've ever seen. There might be 8 officers out right now, maybe 9. When I came to Salinas, it was 11. I got involved because folks were shooting firearms on New Year's Eve. Operation Ceasefire, my council member, it might have been Gloria de la Rosa or maybe Maria Juriado, appointed me to the PCAC because bullets that got shot up in the air landed on my neighbor's car. The bad guys are paying attention. I don't know how the other council members, if they're taking the calls that I'm taking, but stolen bikes, lack of the ability to respond to a collision or petty theft, it's all hours behind, and I think that that's important. We're going to debate over this, and it's budget time right now. The survey's out there. Every budget survey result I've seen shows that public safety is still the #1 in Salinas. We are a dangerous city by some measures, depending on where you live. And granted, one zip code might be settled with a knife, and one zip code might be settled with some strong talk. I don't know. And there's different definitions of public safety. Do you show up with a trained professional, or do you show up with someone else? Sure, we've had budget increases year after year for PD by dollar. But by percent of budget, we have had decreases year after year. And I want someone out there to look at that. I would argue that this council is not supportive of the PD. Mentors that I pay attention to say, show me your checkbook and your calendar, and I'll tell you what your priorities are. I think there's members of this council that still haven't gone on ride-alongs, let alone 3 or 4 ride-alongs, or a ride-along a year, and again, address the staffing shortage. So I take issue with that, and I think it'll come up as we approach budget. Where do we put our dollars? Do we invest in more staff? Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. Overtime's going to go up, and injuries, officers out on injuries. Last I checked, I think there's 26 out right now, and I'm told there's at least 10, maybe 15 that aren't coming back. So it's a bigger challenge. We have a win, and sorry to put you on the spot for this win, Marina, but to the public out there, and for anybody that's had petty theft or been in a vehicle collision and haven't been able to get a response from Salinas Police Department, get used to it, because I think we're going to see a recession. I mean, it's going to happen. It may not happen this year. It may happen next year. The state's impacted by it. And some of us on this council, we remember pink slips, threatened pink slips. We remember having to furlough people. In fact, I think tonight we talked about what are the hours of City Hall? 9 to 4? They were 8 to 5 at some point. So it's all service levels, and I just want to drive home that point, Marina. Thank you.
Councilmember Sandoval, you also pulled this item.
One of the difficulties about serving on the council is, we're public servants, right? We're here to serve the public. Born and raised here. My family's here. I think, both sides of my family are here. And what makes it difficult is political speeches. And we want to maintain positivity, but Councilmember McShane made a lot of statements that aren't true. It's important to be able to call out people, but there's a lot of inaccuracies. This council is supportive. Now, you can say it's not, but the votes show otherwise. I just urge the public to pay attention and be careful of political speeches. Councilmember McShane said get used to it. Well, I don't believe that. I'm working proactively to try to find more money for the city of Salinas, not just say get used to it. What kind of service is that? We should be here to help you find solutions, and that's what I'm doing. And with the support of our council, that's what we're going to continue doing. First and foremost, well, actually that's second. Our entire council, through this agreement with the Police Officers Association, is committed to our police officers who serve our residents. We are further hopeful that these successful negotiations will help retain officers in our community. The memorandum of understanding was agreed on by both parties, and for that I'm thankful. I personally want to thank all parties involved, and I have spoken directly with officers and have listened to their concerns and will continue to do so. I'm always open to that because they're our neighbors, their families live here. So we still have work to do. I'm not willing to throw in the towel like Councilmember McShane, and I want to encourage the city manager, the city attorney, human resources to continue to find ways to attract, recruit, and retain officers in our police department. And I look forward to some creative solutions so we can serve our community better. Thank you.
I just remind council to please keep the comments on all sides professional. We are trying to work collaboratively together, and taking swipes at each other on the dais are not helpful. With that, I will just make the acknowledgement that the Salinas Police Officers Association Memorandum of Understanding, I'm very pleased that it's coming forward in a mutual agreement. I will acknowledge that one of the most recent statements that sort of has been flowing throughout this discussion is what the police budget is and what the police budget has been. I would just argue that the cost of any individual that is employed by the city of Salinas has gone up significantly over the last 5, 8, 10 years. Healthcare costs, retirement costs. It's not if you have $1 million in 2010 for 10 people that you're employing, and you have $1 million in 2024, it's not covering those same 10 people. It's covering more like 6 people. When I started in 2011, we had 187 officers, and Chief Featheroff at that time was pushing hard to get to 200 officers, and we're now down below 130. I want to just acknowledge that publicly. That's something that our public must know, is that we are at mission critical in terms of staffing. I think this MOU will be helpful in terms of retaining some of our older officers, but I still worry about the fact that we are a net negative 50 officers on the street in the last 15 years. Those are my comments, and I will call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Yes. Councilmember McShane?
Yeah.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we will go to item 699. We do have one member of the public that has pulled this item, so I'm going to go ahead and go with the member of the public first. Ms. Partida, you pulled this item? California Senate Bill 329, City Council compensation. I think it's actually like our 7th or 8th reading at this point. Thank you.
Mayor Craig, members of the council, Mr. Pia, Mr. Callahan, good evening. My name is Angelita Partido, and I've lived in Salinas over 20 years. And so I heard that you want a pay increase. I did my homework. What I read in the paper and the Salinas website, and there was a comparison with Sunnyvale, Hayward, Oxnard, and I think there was another one. But currently, $600 a month, I divided that by 12, and that's $50 an hour. That doesn't include other benefits like, I think you receive health insurance, cell phone, what else? Wi-Fi, do you get a gas allowance? So it really is more than $50 an hour. I do believe in giving people pay increase, but what you're asking, if you're comparing it with Sunnyvale, that $2,913, that's a 385.5% increase in your pay. Hayward, it would be 246.8% increase. Oxnard, 183.5% increase. I repeat, I do believe in giving people pay raises, but incrementally, I mean, it's kind of like a shock to me for someone to receive 325% increase all of a sudden. So I wouldn't agree. I don't know what Bill 329 is, so thank you for listening.
Madam Mayor, I just pulled the item for a separate vote. We've discussed it at length. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Osorio, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. We'll go on, Councilmember McShane, you also pulled this item?
Yeah, I know, oh, can I still comment?
Do you, yes, that's fine.
Okay. I feel like this has come up a few times now, and I've gone on record as not supporting it for a few reasons. I think that this is public service. I also think that the amount, the increase is extraordinary, and I think the community and I think our staff are watching. That's all.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Sure. City Attorney, I just heard Councilmember McShane say he's not in support. Is it appropriate, or are council members allowed to not accept the compensation?
Yes, Councilmember Sandoval. A council member can choose not to accept the compensation.
Great. And some of the comments that I've received via social media, email, are concerns about what the city council does or what it's doing for our residents. All very valid concerns. There's also been concerns about benefits and what other money, council gets. And honestly, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. I didn't know, for example, that certain things were allowed to be submitted for reimbursement. And so then I started asking, well, what's our policy for reimbursement? Or what's our travel policy? So I think that in an effort to be more transparent, that we need to work on establishing those policies. Because as a new council member, I think some of the reimbursements that council members have gone for, I don't think they're acceptable. So I'll be pushing for better policies about how the city allocates not just travel, but reimbursements. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay. I'll just make the acknowledgement. This came down the pipeline through the Monterey County Mayors Association. Mayor Oglesby actually brought it to my attention. Senate Bill 329. It's actually on the agenda in Sand City this month. I know that Monterey passed it way back in August. It is scheduled to start for all councils theoretically in January if they passed it prior to that. It's my understanding, and just for clarification, it will start 30 days after passage if it should pass tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so not backdated to January 1st. Okay, just to be clear. I will acknowledge for many, many years I have felt that the council compensation has not been addressed. It takes a lot of political courage to have a conversation about salary for your city council. It is a lot of work, and I would argue that the job has changed in the last 14 years. I've said multiple times, gone are the days that somebody makes an appointment to come visit the mayor in their office. It's social media. It is responding to constituents by email, by text, by DM, by Instagram, by Facebook. It is all of the regional appointments that you witnessed today. There are 43 regional appointments, so it's not just that the council member or the mayor shows up on Tuesday for a meeting. It has not been addressed in 40 years, and so I think it's time. I also feel like it gives the opportunity for the public to actually be able to get childcare, to come do their civic duty, or to be able to hire somebody part-time in their shop so that they can come serve on city council. I've been a strong proponent of it. It's not exactly the formula that I had wished for, but it's close enough. And so with that, happy to support.
Mayor, just a point of clarification. Is Councilmember McShane going to opt out from receiving the increase?
I think that's probably a conversation that you can have offline with Councilmember McShane.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and one last comment I will make. I know this council doesn't feel the same way, but I will be on record just acknowledging that the work of the mayor is different and it has more representation and more responsibility than that of a council member. I served 8 years on city council and have served 4 as mayor. And I will tell you that it is night and day in terms of responsibility and time. That being said, this council is identifying that they want to be paid all the same and all 7. I think that lacks any incentive for a council member to step into a role as mayor, but I certainly understand the will of the council, and I will acknowledge that. But I do think later on down the line, there should be some discussion about the mayor's responsibility and perhaps job description and additional salary later on. With that, call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane? No. Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for the robust discussion. All right, we'll go on to council member reports, appointments, and future agenda items. I'm sorry. I apologize. Sorry about that. I missed that. ID 712, Archer Aviation. Councilmember Barrera, you pulled that item.
Yes, I'm looking for my, thank you.
If you haven't heard,
Mr.
Mr. Godown is no longer with the city, so
Mr.
I get to
Jacob-
step into those shoes now.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs, this is exciting. You know what, I'm supporting this, but can you just share with us, this is a great thing happening at this airport. Can you just share with us what it is?
Yeah, this is Archer expanding their footprint at the airport. They've been there since 2021, developing eVTOL, which is electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. They have one vehicle that they fly routinely out there, which is Midnight, and that's their trial version. They're working on their production version, which is, I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a production version that they're actually making in San Jose, and they're going to bring that down here and start flying it and trying to get FAA to buy off on actually putting passengers in these vehicles and being able to fly up to San Jose or even San Francisco Airport in 15 minutes at the cost of a taxi ride. So that's what they're developing. They want to put a terminal down in our airport, a test terminal to see how it works out. We're going through the planning process on that. But we're kind of the hotbed in terms of developing this technology for the rest of the country at this point in time.
This is great. And Mr. Jacobs, I thought about something else is, do you think eventually it'll create some jobs out there?
At this point in time, there might be. Right now, the jobs are basically in San Jose. So if you're an electrical person or an engineer, they're hiring over there for it. Here, they're basically just testing the vehicle, and a lot of the more technical aspects of it, of their engineers are here doing that work. It might be in the future in terms of if there's a terminal ever developed and we have a terminal here, could be some jobs. But at this point in time, I don't see it in the real near future. They say you're going to start seeing these things in the sky in 2025 and actually be able to take a ride.
That'd be great. And Mr. Jacobs, I'm going to make a motion to approve this in your honor, Mr. Jacobs, because I like the way you work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion made by Councilmember Barrera, seconded by Councilmember Osornio, I think. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez? Councilmember McShane?
Yeah.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval? Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, now we'll go on to councilmember reports, appointments, and future agenda items. I will point out to the council that you do have an item on the dais here from the city clerk about your appointments to commissions and committees. And if I'm not mistaken, Patty, those need to be reappointed today, correct? So if somebody is not going to be reappointed, do you leave that blank, or how does that work?
If you're not going to be reappointing or you still need some time to reconsider that, we can always make that change, as long as you announce it during the future council meetings. We do have commissions and committees meeting this month and moving forward, so we want to make sure that we do have appointments in those positions.
Understood, thank you. I'll
Yeah,
start with
just let me
Councilmember-
know if you're reconsidering a specific appointment for a committee.
Understood, thank you. Councilmember Osornio.
My appointments are going to be staying intact. There'll probably be one future item, and I will update city clerk as soon as possible with that information.
City Clerk, just for clarification, I apologize for the interruption. Does he need to name each appointee?
I'm okay if you don't, that's fine. It'll
Okay.
take up more time. I have the spreadsheet, so.
Understood, thank you. Sorry for that, Councilmember Osornio. Thank
Okay.
you for letting me get that clarification.
No problem. And would you like me to continue? Okay. So I just wanted to report out, I did get a chance to attend the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority meeting. So it's always good going back and saying hi to folks out there. I also, I was getting kind of teased at the table, but I guess I might be the youngest Elks member ever.
Wow.
Anytime. So I don't know, but I got invited to go out to the Elks Lodge and out there with the public safety night dinner. I saw the mayor there, and it was we got a chance to hear from our sheriff Tina Nieto, so that was great. Also had a chance to go out to the pallet shelter. I guess like a convention demonstration where they were talking about different types of shelters that they are coming up with that are affordable and have a lot of the real basic amenities that would make it sustainable for municipalities to purchase these. I did see Councilmember Sandoval there, which was great. And then also just a really big shout out to Habitat Stewardship Project Monterey Bay. They used to be under the Return of the Natives, and being able to share some time with folks that are just really love nature and really want to see our natural habitats be restored and kept up. It was great to go out to the Carr Lake area and just really continue to take advantage of the area, the outside green space. We were bird watching and we were picking up trash in the lake. So just really wanted to say thank you to that organization. And that's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrera?
Well, thank you, young elk. You know, one of the things, I want to say thank you to these commissioners, these committee members. Some of them have been serving here for years. Imagine, talk about, we serve a great community, we really do. Some of these people are very dedicated. What I am going to share, I am going to keep them, I guess I'm going to keep them. But Mr. Pia, I've learned from some of them that sometimes they get either called late, right before the meeting, that's canceled or something. I think we need to do a better job on communication with some of these folks because they're getting prepared for their meetings and then all of a sudden it's canceled. And I think to promote, again, morale within your staff, within volunteers, I'm going to promote that. And one other great thing, several MST, Monterey Salinas Transit board members, they wanted us to drive a bus up at CSUMB, and we got the young elk and we got the best driver of MST. I didn't do anything, I did everything right. But you know what? What's awesome, we heard from Mr. Sidoric, the CEO of MST, that actually after they saw that article, people were applying for bus drivers. And hopefully they'll apply for the police department as well. So, thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
I want to encourage folks to fill out the budget survey, given that we're going into budget season. And though it is a ways out, wanted to have folks mark their calendar for February 15th for our community budget meeting from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Red Box. I wanted to thank Leticia Hernandez as such, that is the only vacancy up until now. And city clerk, and we're going to be keeping all other appointments.
Thank you. And just forgive me, Councilmember Barrera, did you reappoint your appointees?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember McShane?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I will reappoint my appointees. And also, just to be reflected, and I just checked my records, Taryn Eisman Gunter is on the Public Arts Commission. So I forwarded that email to Patty. I think she's attended or been there. So just, she's...
We can have a discussion
okay, we'll talk
afterward.
offline, or, okay, thank you. Want to wish the Salinas Fire Department a happy 150th. Want to acknowledge the city manager, Councilmember Osornio, Councilmember Sandoval, and Councilmember Rocha for joining in the MLK March that was very successfully coordinated again for the 7th year. It was just good. It was a real good event. The First United Methodist Church, I toured their new kitchen, $1.2 million. The city's CDBG funds funded $500,000 of that. I know it was a very tricky project. It was 7 years, I think, in the making. There's going to be a ribbon cutting on the 24th of February. And in case anybody hasn't heard, shh, don't tell anybody, Steve Lundeen is retiring this June. He's been here 9 years. We've worked closely together. I just want to acknowledge him. Lots and lots of policing stuff. I'm going to turn the volume up on this, mostly on patrol at this point. And I know we're short-staffed, but Frank Saunders' point, as has been pointed out by several downtown stakeholders, whether it's Alisal, whether it's Gavilan or San Luis, there are folks running the light, still confused over the crosswalk, and particularly out here at Salinas and Gavilan, numerous close calls. Pajaro and Blanco is another. And then lastly, the frontage road there at Sanborn and Work. Very dangerous. Not only do we need patrol, because pedestrians don't stand a chance, but it's also been recommended that a sign be placed somewhere on the south end of the intersection to protect pedestrians trying to get to the 7-Eleven. So just noting that for the record. Palma High School state champions in football. Was delighted to acknowledge that on behalf of the mayor. We gave them a certificate. Also, there is a contractor that wants to send a Valentine to Christy Parker. He is so happy with how she was able to walk him through and final what will ultimately be more offices on Romy. She's terrific. So I hope you can pass on that compliment. He specifically said that. And as to Jim Pia, thank you. Your job is one of the toughest in the city right now. You're keeping up with us and the constituent calls, and in particular, Brad Clinton. I know he's out there. He must be listening. He's in my head all the time. He is one of the #1 reporters via Q Alert, and we're keeping up. We're doing our best. He is personally reporting any quality issues with potholes, paving, workmanship. And Jim, you're responding to it, and I just want to say thanks. And to the Elks, I just got my 20-year pin, brother. So, we'll see you on the other side. That's all I've got, Mayor.
That would have made him 28 when he joined the Elks, just so you know. With that, Councilmember Sandoval.
Yeah, thank you very much. I did get a chance to see those pallet homes, and I think they're at $20,000 a unit. I think it'd be a great investment. I know that we've been talking about tiny home villages for a long, long time, and I think that makes it affordable. One thing I liked about that particular company is they offer support for wraparound services and how to set those community in place. I think they've done over like 80, I want to say, across California. So I'd like, us to start looking into that. Dorothy's Place, we received information about Dorothy's Place and having to make some cuts to their programs. They serve a lot of people in our community, and I'd like to ask the city manager if there's something we can do to support them, to continue their work. I'd also like to acknowledge Cristina Cifuentes. One of my residents specifically called me and thanked me for her amazing outreach and work and understanding. kudos to her. Lisa, if you can share that. As we look for more money to advocate for public safety, something I've discussed with the city manager in the past is the residents don't really know that we continue to pay to be part of a downtown association, a Salinas City Improvement District. And I wonder if that almost could cover the salary of a police officer, considering that's one of the concerns for a lot of people in that community. So I'll be bringing those discussions forward. And one thing that stuck with me from the Martin Luther King event is it's never too late to do the right thing. With that, I also wanted to acknowledge something the mayor said. The role of the mayor, I believe it should be, is much more than our current pay schedule allows. I would be in favor, as we bring forward charter revisions, to consider making the mayor a full-time position, that they could live and serve the community of Salinas. I think that the residents are deserving, and we would get a lot more done with the full-time mayor. So those are conversations that I'll be bringing forward. And to the ladies who joined us from the prayer group, I appreciate it. We do need a lot of prayer. Okay, that is, I'll say it publicly. We do. We're here trying to do the best, and I hope you can see it. We all care about our community, but we could always use more prayer. So I want to thank you, ladies, for being here, and I will definitely be reaching out to you.
Thank you. Just a quick update on my appointments. LAFCO, which I'm appointed by the Monterey County Mayors Association, but I'm the sitting mayor on that board. We are in the home stretch of ag mitigation, and I want to say thank you very much to Lisa Brinton, who has diligently shown up at LAFCO meetings and expressed concern. I want to thank interim city manager Jim Pia for attending the Salinas Valley City Managers meetings to really sort of hone in on the issues. I have I would say probably one more meeting where we may actually get to a vote in terms of changing the policies for LAFCO with ag mitigation. So it's a big win for us. Monterey One Water, as I mentioned, I am in the throes of a weighted vote discussion, as well as the opt-out option for the tax roll, the automatic putting the M1W fees on the tax roll. So that is, we're currently working through that. It came to Budget and Personnel Subcommittee. It's going to M1W next. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem McShane. He batted cleanup for me. I can handle a cough and a cold, but when it turns into a sinus infection and an ear infection and the whole room slides sideways, that's a whole separate level of sick. So my 2 weeks of my calendar got completely cleared. He went to everything on my behalf, and I just want to say thank you. That was a big lift. So thank you for that. I want to also acknowledge that we had our quarterly meeting with Senator Caballero. She expressed some concerns over some of our housing projects and in homelessness in general. I think we had a very good dialogue. I do appreciate City Attorney Callahan jumping on and clarifying a few things, so thank you for doing that. Lastly, I just want to take a moment. The Monterey County Police Officers Association honored 12 Salinas police officers with the Medal of Valor and 48 Salinas police officers and 3 Salinas Fire Department firefighters with the Award of Merit stemming from the May 31st shooting of Monterey County Sheriff's Office Deputy Jesse Grant. It was a 9-hour gun battle and standoff in our city limits, and we had all hands on deck. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge that the chief at the time also acknowledged the overwhelming majority of police officers who came in on their day off, who came in off of vacation to actually do the patrol work of the city during that day. He said he had nearly every employee out there doing something that day. I do want to take a moment and honor and thank our Medal of Valor recipients, Alex Magana, Ivan Urquizo, Chris Balaoro, Alex Rodriguez, Alejandro Jimenez, Jeff Munoz, Robert Miller, Austin Skaggs, Edgar Garcia, Sergeant Cameron Murphy, Sergeant Rudy Roman, and Sergeant Dave Pritt. They put themselves inside of the line of fire multiple times to rescue people and to rescue the deputy sheriffs that was injured. So thank you very much on that end. I also want to acknowledge and thank our Award of Merit recipients, Commander Louis Bravo, Commander Lalo Villegas, Sergeant James Godwin, Sergeant Stephen Sparks, Sergeant Jerry Magana, Sergeant Gabe Gonzalez, Sergeant Steve Craig, Sergeant John McNeil, Sergeant Ruben Sanchez, Sergeant Dave Pritt, Sergeant Justin Heckman, Bobby Balaoro, Cassie Schmidt, Robert Zuniga, Devin Castaneda, Chris Webb, Jared Reyes, Andres Torres, Kurt Hahn, Christopher Avila, Luis Durantes, Ian Kyle, Nick Reyes, Chris Neff, Evan Adams, Ciro Barboza, John Richardson, Pete Gomez, Alejandro Zamora, Alex Zamora, Scott Sutton, Louis Toribio, Edwin Cruz, Ermelinda Reyes, Byron Ganson, Brian McKinley, Mario Reyes, Joseph Kinney, Isidoro Medrano, Cameron Mitchell, Jonathan Tulio Siga, Jonathan Juarez, Joseph Santiago, Nate Castillo, Francisco De Leon, Devin Castaneda, Robert Miller, Austin Skaggs, Alejandro Magana. I think it's important to recognize when people do extraordinary work for the city, and to have Monterey County Police Officers Association give an unprecedented amount of these awards, I think is worthy of acknowledging and thanking. I also just want to give a shout out, my final one, to the SWAT Tactical Medics. These are our firefighters who train with the SWAT team to be able to rescue and treat victims on scene. Shane Vanderveen, Steve Christie, and Nick Thomas. With that, I'll just say a huge thank you. You can see that's an incredible amount of people within our police department and our fire department assisting on a day of crisis. So thank you, men and women of Salinas Police Department and Salinas Fire Department, for the incredible work that you have done. And thank you to Monterey County Police Officers Association for acknowledging it. With that, I will go ahead and move on to the next item, closed session. We have 5 items on closed session. Let's see. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any items on closed session? Oh, I thought you were actually coming to speak on, okay. And any member of the public on Zoom wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. See you February 6th.